Let's learn together. Let's grow together. Let's fight evil together. Most importantly. All right. Topic's the same. That's the actual conversation piece, by the way. I think that's what gets people to stop by and ask, like, what's going on here? What do you mean? I could have become Jewish this whole time? And they geared me down the wrong street, the wrong direction? Yeah. Such a simple notion, but yet so powerful. Consider Judaism. It might be for you. Look at that. It's like the new hot item on the market, although it's really old, right? The whole notion of encouraging people to become Jewish is not new, but old. New to us. Let's see. Guys, like the show. Like the show. Share and follow. That's how we get people up here. Like, share, and follow. Like. There you go. That's what's up. The more you like it, the more TikTok shares it. And then the haters come in, and then we could both learn. We can all learn together. I tell you, I learn more dialoguing with people than I do in or I did learning in yeshiva or hearing some monologue. That's it. It's nothing like a nice interactive chat, like iron sharpening iron. That's how we do it. I don't know. Let's see. Yeah, like and share. Share with the haters. Haters get on first. Jews get on first, for sure. Yeah, rest in peace, Pop Smoke. Who else should I put up there? First I had John Wayne. Then I had Ernest Hemingway. I'm a big John Wayne, Ernest Hemingway fan. Big Pop Smoke fan. Who else? What do you guys think? Oh, it's interesting. How do you guys... Oh, John, give me a second. I'm going to put the link. So on Facebook and on YouTube, I don't think they know what I'm talking about because I don't have Pop Smoke on the banner, but I do on TikTok. There's a Pop Smoke banner. That's wrong. 1 second, guys. You guys have to acknowledge I'm the nicest rabbi on TikTok. All right. Do you think God has any plurality? I don't think so, but I don't think it's an issue assuming so. Yeah. That's pretty much it. I am the nicest rabbi. I mean, that being said, I'm pretty sure I'm the most violent, as well, religiously violent. But I think that's what makes me so nice. I don't have that Chihuahua complex. Oh, this is John. John, I mean, it's been like 2 years. I hope you fix your microphone. Let's see.
Yo, what's up? What's up, Baba? How you?
Jay Hin, it's been a while. Wow, you finally sound clear.
Yeah, I got a new iPhone.
Sounds like you said you got a new asshole. But anyways,
English is not my first language, bro. That's what.
what's your first one? Urdu?
Hindi.
Oh, Hindi. Jay Javan, Jay Kisan. I just came back from India 2 months ago. You've probably seen all my videos.
Yeah, bro. I've seen your videos, bro. It's been a while. Yeah,
Yeah.
cause you moved over to TikTok, right?
Well, my YouTube channel got hacked. I had it for since 2006. I can't prove it, but I'm pretty I feel like it's Yaron Rubin's people because they broke into my Gmail and they went right for my videos. Like they uploaded inappropriate videos so that YouTube could take it down because that was the only way. Because it takes like a week, for like YouTube to unlock your account. Like once you say it's been hacked, unless they get your videos deleted for inappropriateness. What a shame. What a shame. Anyways, yeah, no, this happened actually right before. When did this happen? This happened last year, actually. a week before I left for India last year. So for a whole year, I've been building up my YouTube channel again, and then I got introduced to TikTok. And I mean, I love TikTok. It's a shame that these dummies in the government want to shut it down and empower the other people who still
Yeah,
are like.
yeah. I heard it's the Israel lobby that's trying to shut it down.
Why? Well, I don't believe that. I don't believe that. But
Yeah, because it's causing a lot of anti-Semitism.
no, I mean, I don't think that that's what it's doing. There's a lot of Jews on TikTok who are able to argue Israel Palestine, and I think it's the only place outside of Clubhouse. But Clubhouse is so not user friendly. Since they upgraded it, I haven't been back to Clubhouse. So, anyways.
Yeah, I support Palestine. By the way, I just want to. I know you support Israel, but I support Palestine. But
Well, you support Israel and Palestine? No, what do you mean?
I support Palestine. I know you support Israel, but I support Palestine. I just want to
Fine.
put that
I
out
mean,
there.
you can support. Yeah, like I'm opposition friendly, meaning I don't get mad because people disagree with me. However, I mean, I'd like to have a dialogue on like why you happen to choose Palestine over Israel.
Because Israel's a settler colonial state.
You know, I don't know why a lot of people have adopted the notion that only because you're a colonizer, and I don't think Israel in any way fits the role of a colonizer, but just with the history we know of colonizers, that by definition is an ugly word. I'm a big fan of British colonization, especially of India, let's say. I mean, just look at Jamaica. Jamaica before the British left was beautiful. The streets were clean. This whole notion of nationalism and everyone should have the right to govern themselves doesn't always equate for a more peaceful, longer lasting population. It's just, that we have to be honest. Oh, look, it's my friend. Is this Alon? No.
Hello, hello.
Привет, товарищ. Как дела?
Can you hear me?
Что такое? Да.
You can hear me, right?
Yeah. What's up?
Awesome. Hi, how are you?
What's up, bro?
Excellent.
Look, the whole crew's together again. Remember this guy? John? Or Jonathan? I don't know. I mean, he used to go by Jonathan.
I don't see anybody here.
Oh, yeah, because, I mean, he's behind the curtain there. Yeah, I'm not against, the term colonizer. That being said, so John here I've known him for a few years already, and he supports Israel from a certain perspective, but Israel over Palestine, he chooses Palestine. He's not Jewish, but what do you believe, John?
I told you I'm a Christian.
Okay, right. For some reason I thought you were becoming Jewish. Yeah, it's hard for me to understand why a Christian would elect, let's say, Palestine over Israel in this conflict. A Christian, right? The truth is, I welcome you to visit Israel, and most people are not going to understand till they actually visit the state of Israel, because they're overwhelmed with unsubstantiated claims on YouTube, on TikTok, people just saying things, but it doesn't. It's not like that. Also, people have to understand the difference between Israel proper, Yehuda Shomron, what people call the West Bank. You know how there's a distinction, because some people say, well, Palestinians don't have the right. No, they don't have the same rights that Israelis do in what they call the West Bank, not in Israel.
You don't think it's a apartheid system over there? You don't think it's an apartheid system?
Come on, man. Seriously not. Dennis Prager made a video with a guy who lived through actual South African apartheid, and he said,
but isn't Dennis Prager like a right-wing Zionist? So of course he's gonna have a biased view.
No. Whether it's biased or not, I mean, it's not his opinion. He's bringing out, someone who actually lived through apartheid, and then he told you what initial apartheid was in South Africa, how blacks had their own hospitals, their own bathrooms, their own schools, right? It doesn't work like that in Israel proper, right? I mean, how blacks essentially, I don't think in South Africa they could vote.
Don't Palestinians have to have separate roads and stuff like that if you go over there?
No, so this is why you have to visit Israel. It's such a shame, because it's not the fault of the average Gentile. I think regarding PR, right? I mean, Jews are great in marketing everything, but they're not great in marketing Israel or Judaism for some reason. Now, they market it to other Jews. there's this program called Birthright that they give every Jewish person up to the age of 26 a free ticket to Israel. Why? Because those are very prime age when developing like someone's outlook. So in college, people get brainwashed to think that Israel's this or Israel's that. So very wealthy philanthropists have gotten together, and I mean till today they sponsor a 10-day trip for even converts to Judaism to visit Israel, all expenses paid for 10 days, right? Staying in nice hotels, eating great food, just so they can see for themselves. That's it. Yeah, so that's what I really would encourage you to do. And while you're at it, go. You can't visit Gaza now, but assuming this conflict ends sooner than later, visit Jenin, visit Bethlehem, visit Gaza, and see for yourself. Because I don't think the average person is going to understand till they actually visit.
Yeah, I think it's gonna take a while for this war to end. This war's gonna go on for a long time. I think Gaza, I think something with Hezbollah in the north is about to happen as well. With Lebanon.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So there's the root of almost all horrific atrocities, if that's not redundant, on this planet is lies. When people lie about other people, when they lie about, circumstances, it's hard to know what's true till you actually go there and find out for yourselves. Okay. Yeah. And then being that you're Christian, going to Israel should be on your bucket
I'm
list.
not a religious Christian. I'm like a non-religious Christian because I grew up in a Christian family, but I'm not a.
Okay, well, I mean, there's something to see for everyone, Muslim, Christians, and Jews, in Israel. So, yeah.
Dasha, quick question.
Yeah.
In your eyes, what is the biggest difference if someone comes and is interested in, following God? What is the biggest difference between Judaism and Islam?
In terms of practice, it's quite similar.
Right.
Like I mentioned before.
Where is the big difference?
Well, the big difference is a progression in revelation and theology. Meaning, for us, we have a cap in revelation. That means God stopped speaking to us in terms of what he expects from us at the end of Deuteronomy. They continued with somebody named Muhammad, who they feel is God's final messenger, who gave the final revelation to mankind of how God wants us to behave and how I guess we should view him in the world. That's the big difference. If Muslims didn't have Muhammad, they would have to fall back on Moses, because Muhammad is the final messenger and prophet. That being said, Muslims also have laws. They're really extracted from our laws. The ethics that appear in Islam didn't come out of nowhere. They came from Judaism.
So what did Islam bring to the table in terms of something new?
Narrative?
Since he's the final messenger. Wasn't he supposed to bring a final message?
Yeah, that's what he brought. Narrative and metaphysics. That means the story or the many stories that appear in the Quran, on how the Quran was revealed as well, and metaphysics. Like stories of angels and demons and people possibly going to hell because they don't accept this new doctrine. That's all they brought to the table. And we could say the same thing for Christianity as well. Ethics, I think we can all acknowledge that Christians and Muslims could acknowledge that the root of ethical monotheism is the Torah, the commandments that appear in the Torah. Now, they sort of don't say it so easily like that. They'll say, well, Islam is a true revelation. Only because something came before doesn't mean it's older. I guess we could entertain that idea, but only, but it's not wrong to assume that it's older because it came before. It's not necessarily that's the case, but whatever. I mean, being that they venerate our prophets, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, the patriarchs, and all that stuff, it shows that didn't come out of nowhere. That came out of our Bible. They're like, oh, well, then we follow. It's older because we follow God, not because they came in from the Torah. So I don't think Islam honesty is a big value in Islam, but that is what makes it a different religion. Well, not just that. By them having a new prophet, he introduced a lot of things that changed the way humans view God. Now God is no longer the Torah giver because the Torah we have is corrupted. The true rendition of the will of God as taught by Muslims is what appears in the Quran, which from, I think, logically could get any Jewish person to acknowledge that we don't worship the same God, and it's essentially a completely different religion. And for sure, we're not cousins. Now, you can be a decent person and be a Muslim, and you could be a crappy person and be Jewish or Christian, right? I mean, that's not the point. The point is that it's still a different religion with a different God. The way we know it's a different God is that we know who we worship by what that God expects us to do. Right? Because the way we worship God is by keeping his commandments. If the Torah we have, according to Muslims, is corrupted, then they worship God in a different way than we worship God, because our book, like they teach, is corrupted. So how can it be the same God? Their God expects different things. They don't keep Shabbos. I mean, their standards of kashrus are different. How could it be the same God? So it's just a talking point that they repeat over and over again, or like more of a tactic to get people to join their new religion. Yeah. But
can you explain the difference between the Masoretic version and the Dead Sea Scrolls?
Yes. So the Dead Sea Scrolls is not a version, and it's not complete either. For example, there's not a complete set of the Torah and the Dead Sea Scrolls. There's fragments of not just parts of what we call the Torah and the prophets, but even apocryphal books.
So is the Torah of today, is it the Masoretic Torah?
Yes. Also called the Aleppo Codex.
And the Dead Sea Scrolls are pretty much a little piece of the parts of the Psalms book.
No, well, I mean, it covers the Torah also. There's fragments of the Torah. There's parts of of the book of Isaiah, of other prophetical books. They're not identical to what appears in the Masoretic text, by the way. They're not identical. Like there's variations for sure in Isaiah. There's what's it called? Like the shrine of the book.
So why are Muslims so big on the fact that there's a difference between, or there's a variance between, the Masoretic and the Dead Sea Scrolls?
Oh, well, there isn't a variant, because it's not complete. To say, first of all, that what we found,
they keep claiming that there is variance. For example, in Deuteronomy 32:8, in the Dead Sea Scrolls, it says, the peoples according to the number of sons of God, Bnei Elohim. But in the Torah that we have today, it says the sons of Israel, Bnei Israel.
That's fine. So the Torah itself, and this is the challenge I make to all Muslims who say something that there's different variants of the Torah. Every Torah in existence today, with the exception of the Samaritans are the only ones that differ, have the exact commandments. The exact commandments. What makes the Torah special are the mitzvot within the Torah. The Samaritans have one additional mitzvah, that they believe that the holy place is Mount Gerizim. This is like Shechem, Nablus, Har Bracha. That's what makes the Torah unique. That's what makes the Torah special, the mitzvot. The idea that every verse has to have the same number of letters, let's say, or the exact words doesn't, I mean, it's still the same Torah, even though a word is missing or a word is added. Now, they want us to believe that the Quran they have is the exact one that.
Well, it's beyond a word here. I guess they're not. They're thinking that Bnei Elohim means multi gods.
Yeah, no, but that's silly, because it also appears in like Bereshis like this.
Right.
So Elohim doesn't always mean God. Elohim can mean powerful ones. Elohim just means those of power. Now God is a powerful one. It's just like El. El doesn't really mean the God of Israel. El was the name of a Canaanite god also, to the point that their God is called Allah. Like outside of Temanit, we call it Eloah. It's the same shoresh. So I don't know what they're claiming by saying that it's the children, God having physical children. I don't know what the argument is. So the Torah is intact. We shouldn't get stuck on this. If we get stuck trying to respond to every challenge, which is what they are, are essentially theological rabbit holes. Say the Torah is intact, meaning the commandments are intact. If Torah means commandments, Torah doesn't mean narrative. So we have to say even what appears in the book of Genesis, if you take the Torah literally, wasn't given to us on Mount Sinai. The Torah is what's special. The commandments within the Torah is what makes Israel exceptional. They believe that if there's any variation in any of the Torah scrolls, or unless we have a Torah scroll that's signed by Moses, you might as well just drop the whole belief system. And then if you ask them, how about the Quran? Is that corrupted? They'll quote you a verse from the Quran that says that the Quran could never be corrupted. And for some reason, that's enough. This is a tactic of the way they dialogue. And it's a shame that people who are not too bright fall for it, especially women. For some reason, it's not a coincidence that Jesus' followers are mostly women. But smart people understand that what matters is what's effective. It's the commandments that's effective. Only because we don't have a Torah scroll signed by Moses. And by the way, it's quite impossible because the shelf life of parchment is around 2,000 years old. It doesn't reach when the Torah was given, which is around 3,400 years ago. So that's not even possible.
But the human nature is looking for the truth. I understand when you're saying the Torah has the basics that all these other religions have. So in regards to recruiting one to a religion, they all seek the truth. They don't want to follow one that is false.
So how can we define what's truth? Right? I mean, is it by saying that all the Qurans match up? Not to mention that historically they gathered Qurans that didn't match up just to end up with one that did. But that doesn't validate religious authenticity, meaning that doesn't validate anything coming from God. When you have a religion that's probably 1,300 years old, that does not compare to a religion that's over 3,300 years old. It's easier to I don't know, like get all your ducks in a row when you're only dealing with a little bit over 1,000 years of your religious history, right? So it's what makes the Torah special is that how influential it's been to the point that it gave birth to Islam and Christianity. That's how influential it is. That the two major monotheistic religions came from this one religion, right? This one philosophy, I guess you could call it. That's what makes it special. It's the mitzvot that make it special. But when I see people getting stuck just because a story of the flood may have appeared in the Epic of Gilgamesh, or some other portion of the Torah appears in the Book of the Dead.
Well, my problem is it's influential. I agree with you. But my problem is looking at it in a sense of its authenticity in terms of look how easy it was replicated and gotten up and going.
Okay, so it's ethically unique. The idea, first of all, I'll tell you, the Book of the Dead mentions that the Egyptians also didn't eat fish that lacked scales and fins. Sacrificing animals predated the Torah. Only because the Torah may have used some things that were cultural that had nothing to do with the consistent ethics that appear in the Torah. The Torah has been essentially the main book that has civilized this planet. The main book, not the only book, but the main book is not just what we call the 5 books of Moses, but the mitzvot within the 5 books of Moses that really make up the Torah, right? That's what makes it special. The individual moral training within it. And that's why we call God God. If our God wasn't good, he wouldn't be God. The only way we could coronate God as God is because he loved us so much that he gave us a higher standard to aspire to by giving us the mitzvot.
And why weren't we born with that basic knowledge or
because
commandments?
It seems that free will is so important. Right? I don't think we could truly appreciate, and the bulk of people lack gratitude. We can't truly appreciate how valuable living a proper life is if we don't have an urge to do what's wrong, or like we don't have the ability to do what's wrong. That means if God just gave us all religious lobotomies, like he made it that we couldn't sin, then what's the point of this experiment ultimately? Truth is, I don't know what the point of the experiment is, right? But it seems that it involves free will as its central component. So yeah, but I mean, you could say that about every religion. I mean, like, why did I mean, like, from the perspective of
And
Richard,
one that doesn't practice or doesn't care or does not know or doesn't want to show gets a free pass
yeah,
in
well,
God's eyes.
It seems that the Torah is the easiest religion of the three major monotheistic religions to understand. God gave you a standard to aspire to, a code of ethics. Keep that code, and as a result, your surroundings would improve. You will have peace in your time. You would see your children grow old. Very practical. It doesn't really take too much faith. Now, look at the offshoots of Judaism that now require you to acknowledge that, yes, all the biblical characters existed. Torah was given on Mount Sinai, but now you have to believe that God became a man and died, for your sins, born from a virgin, and is coming back as a prerequisite to validating God. Go further, or more recent, Islam built off the Torah, the New Testament, but now we get further revelation. You have to believe in Torah, not ours, because they believe that ours is corrupted, but the original Torah that, from their perspective, exists somewhere. You have to believe in the New Testament, and now you have to believe in the Quran. You see how one builds off the other, but they can't duplicate what the original belief system and philosophy essentially brought to the table, which was the ethics, which is the most important part. For them, they limited salvation to a creed or faith, while the Torah didn't really talk about some sort of heavenly salvation, but he said that God would validate you by how you behave and how you treat other people. I mean, what's more meaningful? What's more purposeful? And this is, I mean, it's such a simple message that I wish that rabbis out there who speak a lot better than I do would get up here and just try a little bit, and we'd win the whole world to Judaism, because it's such a reasonable religion. The idea that God would punish you just because of what you fail to believe in. I mean, how can you convince someone to believe something, right? I mean, you're going to judge someone on what they happen to be convinced of. However, you could judge someone on how they behave, because we do this on a daily basis. That's practical. That's meaningful. And this is why this belief system could go heads up against Christianity and Islam and always come out on top. And this is what I prove, I think, every night on this channel. Yeah. What else?
How you doing? I have a question.
Yeah. What's up? It's been a while, theist.
Yeah, been a while. Let me like get out of the app for a second to ask you a question, because I just gotta read something.
I know that. Come on. I mean, don't read like something from the top and then ask you what it means.
Rabbi, when's the next time you go to Israel?
In October for Sukkot, I'm going. All right, Theus, yeah, go ahead. Theus.
Is the static? Do you hear the static, or is it just me?
No, I don't hear it. But I heard it on the other recording. It's because I'm on TikTok.
Oh, there you go. Now it's better.
Oh yeah. Okay. All right.
Okay. So in Leviticus 16, when it says like Aaron will bring two goats, one to the Lord, and then one to a zeal. Is a zeal supposed to represent a land?
So it's Azazel.
Azazel. Okay.
All right. So we don't know exactly what Azazel is, apart from that it's an Israeli curse word. When they say Lech LeAzazel, it means like go to hell. There's a belief out there that it was like a demon that lived in the woods. Nobody knows what the heck Azazel is. I don't know definitively what it is. There's many commentaries that I think really shouldn't even be written on it, because we don't know exactly what it is. But the consensus is, by most mystics, is that it's a demon that lives in the woods.
But in Judaism, isn't it mostly the root of words or letters that we can go back and break it down more?
I mean, like, what would be the root of Azazel in terms of what's the shorish? I mean, what would it mean?
Right, exactly.
Yeah, like I don't think it's a
I was
Hebrew
just
word.
reading the commentary on Rashi. Rashi said it was a land, and he said if you read verse 22, it talks about the sins going to a distant land and a dry land, and he's saying that now means, I don't know, Azazel. But what do you think it means?
No, I don't know. I mean, I don't have a comment on stuff that we don't know. It's like I had a whole discussion with this guy yesterday on TikTok, like on Shiloh, like Genesis 39. on how no one knows what the heck. I mean, Shiloh is there, or if it's even, because the Nekudot weren't in the original, Sefer Torah. So, I mean, it could be Shiloh, not necessarily Shiloh. So, like, nobody knows. But what everybody claims to know is that it's talking about the Messiah, which it's clearly not talking about the Messiah. So we don't know. I mean, I don't speculate on these things because I view this as like it says in Deuteronomy 20:29, secret things that are essentially what I call theological rabbit holes, that people waste so much time. And then before you know it, they're going to build a doctrine around it. And they're going to say Azazel is Jesus, just like Jehovah's Witnesses believe that the Archangel Michael is Jesus. And then before you know it, everyone's going to be walking around with Azazel t-shirts.
Word mean in Paleo Hebrew?
Oh, I don't know. Like what Azazel. Like I never heard of anyone interpreting it. I mean, if it was that easy to interpret, but they'd have some sort of consensus on what the actual word means. Like instead of just I mean, all I know is that the goat is released onto the wilderness, which doesn't necessarily mean wilderness. It means like a desert, just like the Jews were. Wilderness just means like a dry, rough place.
Okay.
So I don't know.
So that's what Azazel means. Then it means a dry, rough place.
Yeah, but that's also Bamidbar. Like it. I mean, who knows? Who knows?
Okay, I have a question. Are you? Would you say you're theologically married to the Talmud, meaning like you'll never go away from it? Like, as long as you believe in the Torah, you'll always believe in the Talmud.
Those are interesting words to use. Theologically married to it. I always teach that if there wasn't a Talmud or an oral law, the Jews would have to invent one. Just like the Karaites did. The Karaites have this book called the Sebo HaYerusha, which is a book of means like the yoke of the inheritance. It's a book that carries their customs. The only reason the Talmud is important to us, right, or the only reason someone might call it like holy, it's because it's set apart. That means it's set apart, sanctions for study. It contains the rulings of the Sanhedrin. That's what it claims to contain. It could be lying, okay? We ultimately believe in it, at least the rulings, like the actual dinim and faith, that these came from the Sanhedrin. Because we understand that you cannot run Judaism without consensus. If we didn't have a Mishnah, which is the first half of the Talmud, how would we keep Shabbat? I mean, like, how would we establish a month?
So like you're saying, you're not basically.
Well, I'm not theologically married to it like I'm married to the Torah. I would say the Torah is the foundation of my religion. However, if we ever hope to move back to Israel in a redeemed state, how the heck are we going to keep these mitzvot if everyone's going to have a different interpretation on how you keep Shabbat and how you keep Yom Kippur and how you keep anything?
Why can't you just use like the books of the prophets and the books of the books of wisdom to make these decisions?
So why would those books be any more authoritative when it was the rabbis in the Talmud who canonized those as well?
I mean, they didn't write them.
They canonized them.
Canonized.
Yeah, no, but it's the same rabbis. The term rabbi, forget about the term rabbi. I don't even know why we use the term because it's so confusing.
No, but they didn't canonize it because there's no official canonization. There are just books out there like Isaiah, like other things like this. So they didn't write them.
Okay,
like,
so canonized,
them, right?
So like in Hebrew, it's called sfarim that are mitamei yadayim. It's books that impurify your hands, and that's what they classified as books that were sanctioned for study. That's just how they called it. It's not the same canonization as the Catholic Church canonizing the Bible, right?
That's what I mean.
Yeah. But Jews have an intellectual religious love affair with the Torah, but it was essentially the judges, because that's what the rabbis are. The rabbis claim to be, and I'm not talking about rabbis today, but the rabbis in the Mishnah, at least those who have smicha, were shoftim. They were judges. I mean, they were first judges, and then they were teachers also. But I don't know why people nowadays get stuck on the word rabbi. So they decided what books to include and what books to exclude. I mentioned before that Beit Shammai would never accept the book of Esther. They weren't going to accept like the whole.
I accept the book of Esther, and I'm saying you don't need any.
No, but the reason you accept the book of Esther or even know it exists is because the rabbis in the Talmud fought for it to like.
I don't believe that's true. I mean, the rabbis in the Talmud didn't fight for second, or book of fourth Ezra to exist.
Right.
They didn't want that one to exist, but it exists.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Right.
The book of Jasher exists.
No, I get it. Yeah, but why do you hold the book of Esther like more validated than the book of Yasher?
Because I believe Esther wrote it, or I believe it's based off Esther's life.
Because of the sanctioning created by the rabbis, right? I mean,
I don't know if you can 100% like correlate the two.
All right, so then that takes great faith to assume that the Tanakh was intact even in the time of Jesus, and people knew what book was scripture and what book wasn't scripture, right? As a matter of fact,
the scripture is the Torah, right? And then when it comes to the prophets, I would say you use archaeology to determine what is and what isn't.
Okay, so I mean, if you're going to include the Dead Sea Scrolls, which include a lot of books, now why not say that those are comparable to the book of Isaiah? It's essentially because of the rabbis, and it's reiterated in the book of Josephus. It's Jewish.
Don't you think like not all prophets are made equal?
No, I believe all prophets are made equal.
No, I mean, I disagree. Don't you believe that they differ on importance? I mean, you have to.
No, not at all.
Moses differs on importance, obviously.
No, I know the canonization, as they call it nowadays, they have major prophets and minor prophets, but that doesn't mean that one's more important than the other. But the major prophets have bigger books and they play more historical roles. But in terms of their influence, for people today, it's the same. That means they're essentially irrelevant. The book of Isaiah,
you believe out of faith, like that's
not.
Not
this is well. I mean, you asked me. This is why it's true.
Okay, all right.
I'm not saying most people believe
this.
this.
That's the only question I had.
Yeah.
I do think it's talking about a land. I actually do think it is talking about a land. So I just read a different translation and it said scapegoat. What would that even mean? Offer one goat for the scapegoat?
No, well, there's two scapegoats. Well, I mean, scapegoat means that I mean, colloquially, when you call someone a scapegoat for something else,
it means like you use this to get away from your sins,
right?
So he's using two goats, one to God and then one for the scapegoat. That's what it says in the NIV.
Yeah, no, scapegoat is that this animal that's in some way sent on into the wilderness is carrying your sins away.
Oh, okay. So one is like glorifying God, and then
well,
one is
I mean, technically, I mean, they're both carrying your sins away. By the rabbis, they talk about one that they throw off a cliff, but that doesn't appear in the Torah, by the way. But there's one
that's the only question I had. I appreciate it.
Yeah, all right, no problem. Here, guys, I'll tell you, rabbinic literature is on a higher level than the books of the prophets, and the role of the judge is on a higher level than that of the prophet. Why? Because the legal ruling is not contingent or dependent on behavior, meaning it's not conditional. Every prophecy is conditional. Every ruling from the court is mandatory and not conditional. Meaning, once they establish how one keeps Shabbat, you can't violate that. However, if a prophet says that something's going to happen, something good or bad, and Israel changes their behavior, that supposed prophecy doesn't come true. So what holds more power? The role of the judge in Judaism is greater and more influential than the role of the prophet. Nowadays, we know nothing about the role of the judge. Nothing's taught about judges. Like, all we hear about is kingship, right? Because that's the whole notion of the Messiah, and prophethood. Oh, and the priesthood. Okay, hold on. There's someone here who might be from. Welcome, Moshe. Moshe, what's up?
Hello.
Hi. We spoke before?
Many times.
Okay, all right.
I haven't been on in a while. I did a detox from TikTok.
Okay, yeah. Welcome. What did we speak about before?
We disagreed on a lot of things.
Justice, can you mute yourself? Thanks. All right, someone is saying, why is the Reb proselytizing? Guys, there's nothing in Judaism that prohibits proselytizing. I don't tell people it's an obligation to proselytize. I think it's a good idea.
There's nothing in the Torah, in the Torah.
Okay, there's nothing in halakha that says don't go out and even, encourage people to become Jewish, which is not what I'm doing, by the way. I'm encouraging people to learn enough about Judaism that one day they'd be serious enough to become Jewish, because this is a serious thing. So yeah, there's nothing in halakha. Like, do statements exist here and there? I'm sure there's a statement not in halakha, but by Chazal, there's a statement by Chazal that says that it says that gerim are kashim. They're hard, like on Israel, like a sapachat, like a sore or a thorn on their side. Right? That's one statement. Like Tosfos steps in and says, well, the reason it says is that they're like a sapachat, it's because they're so religious or so frum that they may look like they make Jews feel uncomfortable because they're so religious. But the tons of statements that talks about that it's a job of Israel to bring all of humanity to the Torah. It's not a... Anyways, Mojo Writer, what's up?
How's it? Jerome, I'd like to introduce myself. Do you mind?
Yeah, man. Go ahead.
For sure. I'll just introduce myself and say a little bit about myself real quick. Hey, everybody. So my name is Mojo, and I like to party.
Woo! That's what's up. Now, what do you ride?
What was that?
I mean, are you a biker or something?
No, I have a little 1989 Ford Toyota pickup.
1989. All right. I mean, are you single also? Because that typically goes connected. Anyways, are you Jewish?
Oh, that's crazy.
No, but my favorite artist of all time is Modest Yahoo.
Modest Yahoo. Have you seen Modest Yahoo lately? I mean, he fried out. You know, like in the religious world, you know, when someone...
I wouldn't consider his music Jewish music.
Well, like no longer. You know, in the beginning it was.
In the beginning, yeah, it was dope.
Yeah.
It was dope.
No, I mean, he was a Meshachist in the beginning. I mean, he was full of Lubavitch. There was another Meshachist out there. His name was Judah Maccabee. Remember him?
Yeah.
Yeah, guys. I mean, there was this guy. I mean, also from Miami. I think he may have been Moroccan or something, but he was Lubavitch. His name was Judah Maccabee, but he was more like ghetto Jewish rap because Matisyahu was always sort of like a soy boy. I mean, he was just kind of like, you know, like an Asperger's type. I mean, he's not like Judah Maccabee, but he dropped it all. And this shows that, you know, like if you firm out too much, like, you know, hop in all the way to religious, because, I mean, they're about shows to begin with. I mean, many people get burned out and then drop everything. And that's essentially what happened. And, yeah. But
you know my boy, Chaim OG?
Chaim OG. Is he like a rapper?
Chaim OG? Yeah, my boy.
Never heard of him.
Do you know, by the way, Rabbi, with this whole thing that's going on with P. Diddy now?
Oh, I mean,
guess what? This is some interesting news. You know, back in the day when he was charged with this connects to Judaism. So, by the way, the story where he was charged with a handgun shooting in a nightclub.
Yeah. No.
Do you remember how he
Shine,
took
you mean
the blame
Shine.
for? Yeah, exactly. And you know Shine's story, right?
Yeah, no, like he used to roll with my friend in Israel. You know,
Yeah.
Shine and Jeff Seidel, who's, I mean, I've been working with him for over 15 years. We're like super buddies. All right. And then, yeah, but he never officially converted, by the way, because they refused to convert him.
Really?
They refused to convert him, but he claims to be Jewish because, like he says, his mother is Ethiopian. Like he was actually running for prime minister. Was it prime minister in Belize? Because his father-in-law, his stepfather, was the original.
Right. He did go to Belize.
Yeah. So I mean, he spent 5 years in jail because he took the fall for P. Diddy. This is when P. Diddy was with J-Lo.
Right.
It's all connected, man. It's all connected. I'm just kidding.
It's all pipes. It's all pipes.
By the way, bro, I'm back, dude. I got banned on TikTok, bro.
Where are you?
Yeah, I got banned too.
Post Millennial. Oh, I didn't know that was you.
Yeah, okay, that's my YouTube channel.
Oh, this is Theo Vaughn, ladies and gentlemen.
That's why I'm here too.
He's all right, but you know what I mean? I'm more like, who am I like, dude? I'm like fucking, who am I like, dude?
Come on, this is a family show.
You know? Oh, yeah, my bad. It's a religious show, bro.
Anyways, I'm in South Florida because people were asking me if I'm in New York. I'm in Hollywood.
You're
Florida.
a Floridian, bro.
I am a Floridian. I'm actually born in New Jersey, by the way. But I'm technically an Israeli also. You know, I made Aliyah.
Nice.
But
so what happens to the converts that you have? What do you do with them?
I roll with them in my pocket. That's what I do.
Do you have your own like synagogue going on?
Okay, so like you think I'm like P. Diddy? You know?
No, he's like I don't know what he's about, but you're a rabbi.
I think was Shadchan, right? I mean, that's like what a pimp is in Judaism. A Shadchan. A shadchan is like a matchmaker. You know,
I could do that shit, bro.
Bro, come on, bro. This is like
my bad. I could do that. I could be a matchmaker, dude.
Oh well, go.
Bro, have you ever seen the movie The Love Guru? There's a movie called The Love Guru, and it's a Mike Myers movie.
Yeah.
Bro.
Hey, there's an Indian guy on the panel here.
So what? That's not a mean word. A guru is just what they have over there.
No, I know, but the way you said it was very.
That's how you pronounce it. It's a guru. But yeah, dude, that's an interesting concept. The idea of a guru, as opposed to like a prophet or a king or a prince. Just it's a guru, bro. It's a guru.
Well, you know, like most gurus, I don't think claim to have special powers, right? It's just like they're endowed with wisdom. So it's almost like.
Nah, never mind. That's gay. I don't like it anymore.
Okay, never mind.
Yeah.
The word either.
Did you see that crazy? Did you see that crazy wedding that they had of the billionaire in India?
No, yeah. I mean, some saying that it was like a setup, right? That the boy was really had like involved with his friend, and you know, rich people do crazy things. You know,
it's also probably at its core, like, let's see. So Anat Ambani, the son of billionaire Mukesh Ambani. Bro,
Yes.
call me crazy, but I've been hearing some crazy stuff about India, and also on Twitter, I've been seeing some crazy videos.
About India?
Yes, dude. What's going on in India, bro? Because I know from a Jewish perspective, it's kafir, all right? It's idolatrous. So what are we doing?
Kafira. I mean, kafir is Arabic.
Oh, yeah. I forgot. The Muslims say that.
So I think I may be the expert in India, like from the Jewish world, being I go there every year for about a month a year.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not going next year. Next year, we're going to the Philippines. That being said, I don't know. I always go to the same places. What do I know about India? Like, watch out for the food. Don't drink the water. And
that doesn't sound good. If there's a country that you have to watch out for the food and watch out for the water, why are Jews obsessed with India? I bet it's because of the system.
So Jews are not obsessed with India. Well, so you're thinking Israelis, when they get out of the military, will either go to Thailand and
Thailand.
This is why there's a Chabad there, by the way. I mean, Chabad is there not to cater to Gentiles. I mean, Chabad is there to cater to Israelis and offer them kosher food. I mean, in New Delhi, there's 2 Chabads. I mean, it's huge. I mean, but it's more for businessmen that happen to be. Yeah, so I don't deal with people who have a Jewish pedigree in India, but people who want to become Jewish. The state of Israel doesn't accept conversions performed in India. So Asher Meza to the rescue.
That's interesting. However, Jesus Christ, bro, the idolatry is insane, bro. We're Jews here, dude. And the level of idolatry is like the Vatican or something, dude.
All right, so let's try to convert them.
To what?
To Judaism.
Yeah, but there's lies going on in there too, bro. I'm not a fool.
Okay, so in life, the choice is typically the best over the better. You understand, or the better over the best, right? It's clearly the best system out there, Judaism.
Okay, so what you're saying is I have to pick the lesser of 2 evils
in everything. I mean, even in the women. Like,
I'm gonna pull a damn. Have you ever heard of this guy Jesus Christ before, bro?
I think a Jewish guy, right?
Yeah, he's a Jewish guy.
Yeah,
what he did, bro. So instead of actually trying to become a physical king, and instead of actually trying to like do whatever, you know what he did?
What did he do?
He just did the right thing, bro. He just did the right thing, and then he got crucified, dude. I'm gonna follow that, dude. I'm not gonna lie to people, bro. I'm not gonna do it.
I mean, what's doing the white thing?
Do what?
You said the white thing, and then you said you people.
Yeah, because there's lies going on in the halakha.
No, I dig it. Yeah, no, it's not perfect, although it's better than the alternative.
What are the lies? I'm curious.
No,
bro, you just open the Talmud and
that.
you see these fantastical tales.
I give them the benefit of the doubt, Moshe, that when he says there's a lie, because I'm not going to, stay here and try to defend every accusation against the Talmud.
Right, no, but there are many leaders out there doing the right thing. Gandhi, this and that. Why is
Gandhi was a terrible person in real life.
Oh, you knew him personally?
I know about what he was doing.
Because I don't say anyone else, but
I know about what he was doing.
Hold on.
What Gandhi was doing.
Here, like Moshe wants to speak. Hold on. Go ahead, Moshe.
You can't blatantly say there's lies in halacha without giving an example. Like,
yeah, well, he's a Christian, by the way. I mean, so
no, I'm just me, dude. I'm just me, bro.
I get it, but you believe in Jesus. You know,
I believe in Jesus as some sort of messianic figure, but I'm a Jew, bro.
If you believed in Judaism or the oral law, like you'd be Orthodox, right? So, like for sure, like if you believe the Pharisees wrote the Talmud, then like you think it's corrupt.
I don't believe that. I just think the Jews wrote the Talmud, bro. No Pharisee bullshit. That's Jesus stuff. I'm talking about basically.
I mean, we're gonna get banned. All right.
Oh, my bad. But there's.
All right. Theo Vaughn later. I mean, like, in 5 minutes, you curse like 4 times. That's just trying to, yeah. Anyways, that being said, when someone says anything about Judaism, right, don't try to defend Judaism. Like, try to discuss their religion and how perfect their religion is, and it's typically not. Most people who attack Judaism belong to a belief system that has a lot more holes, and it's a lot flimsier than Judaism. I mean, it's kind of hard to defeat Judaism. You pull the rug under from Judaism, what comes tumbling down? Christianity and Islam. So I do the same thing with atheists. But they want to say there's 3 things in the Torah. I mean, they have to number them, right? Because they'll say the whole Torah is corrupt. I'm like, okay, I'll give you 3 chances, 3, even 4 chances to find me things that you have issues with in the Torah. And then if he names them, I'm like, I'll give you those 4. Now let's discuss atheism and the failures of essentially every atheistical pursuit. All right, in life, the choice is typically not between what's utopian and what's horrific, but between what's good and what's better. And Torah Judaism is better than atheism, and that's how you have to view everything in life. All right, so whether it's the job you pick, the women you end up with, whatever.
But isn't atheism also sends the type of message Judaism does send, like being doing the right thing and just
Yeah, but the difference is, from a religious perspective, like, we can believe in objective morality, right? That we believe that God commands us to do this, thus it's objectively right. There's no left and right. While an atheist, if he doesn't have his coffee tomorrow, could decide to unalive a whole city. Right? So it's you can't rely on them, and they also have their own religion. It's called leftism. Yeah, go ahead, Moshe. I'm sorry.
Is your mic next to the cell phone?
Yeah.
That's why. We hear a lot of static.
My phone just paused for like I don't know what happened. Like it froze. Did he give an example of?
No, he didn't. No, but I said that when someone makes those accusations, just give it to them and then start talking about their belief system.
Well, that's exactly what I asked him. I said, you're fond of Jesus, but there's plenty of other people that followed after him that he could have.
All right, Moshe, go ahead. I'm sorry, Moshe was saying.
Well, I can say the same thing and then not give an example. I could say that I can go on for an hour right now talking about all the flaws in Christianity. Like,
yeah, that's how people should discuss not just religion but philosophy, big ideas, by only focusing on the macro. Don't get stuck in little details. I could write off Islam without having read the whole Quran, by the way, because I know the cliff notes. Right? I mean, same thing with the Torah. That you don't have to read the whole Torah to realize how ethically influential it's been throughout history, and the theme of it. A God that doesn't require belief and, like, religious tests in order to validate your religion.
You kind of need to know, because then people can come and say, well, how, a guy that authorizes the killing of.
No, I get it. Yeah, there's like 3 things. There's around 3 things that the average religious person gets stuck trying to defend. Just give it to them. Say, granted, I wish that was worded differently because it confuses too many people. Now, let's talk about how superior your belief system is, which it typically isn't, especially if it's an atheistical one.
I do want to say that, like, Judaism has been part of my entire life, and yes, Judaism, religion, and just like all religions, it all comes down to faith at the end, right? You have to have faith at the end. There's no proof for that. There's no proof for anything. There is tons of evidence to support Jewish history, but I've yet to find a single flaw in the Torah. Something a contradiction, not any, like something that doesn't make sense that can't be explained.
All right, yeah. So that's the big difference. Can't be explained. If something needs to be explained in order for it to make ethical sense, then it really can't stand on its own. I mean, the Torah. I mean, the meaningful parts in the Torah have to be self-explanatory. The idea that you need a rabbi to interpret something for you to be able to, in some way, articulate it in some sort of ethical manner, it's kind of a waste. Now, I appreciate commentators, Meforshim 100%, because I already believe.
The Torah says to listen to the Chachamim.
Yeah, no, for sure. But first,
the Torah says we need Chachamim.
Yeah, I get it. Parashat Shoftim, the mitzvah of Lo Tasud, I'm on board 100%. But that's once you're already religious. Once you already believe in the God of Israel, then at the end of the Torah, you hear in Parshat Shoftim that God tells us the mitzvah of listening to the Chachamim. You know, I mean, like the Shofet, the Cohen of those days, right? I mean, but first you have to buy into it.
Well, the Torah is really it's a storybook, but the Torah I think is also one of the most I think it's the most complex like book out of all religions. It's the most complex. There's so many like different factors that go into it, and so many things that you can learn out of different things. And
well, the Quran also, you could say the same.
Yeah, but you're saying with commentators, right? I mean, the Torah straight through. I'm glad it's not complicated because there's not too much discussion. If you see what rabbis have to say on something that a Navi says, that a prophet, it's all over the place. I mean, Sefer Iyov, who the heck knows what the book of Job is talking about? It's the most complicated Hebrew because it's all over the place. It's too poetic, you know, symbolic, hyperbolic. Nobody knows what it's talking about. In terms of what's a mitzvah, do this, don't do that. So clear, right? Thank you, God, right? So when someone tries to build religion off of what?
Isn't a book that says this is what you could do, this is what you can do. Torah is life. Torah, the world was created out of the Torah, right? So
wait.
It's more of a guideline.
I know, yeah, but you're speaking like a religious person, you know, to a room full of irreligious people. You know, Torah is life. It sounds nice when you say it, you know, but it sounds sort of like cringy.
I know I'm arguing with that. I'm discussing with you about what the Torah means to me. It's not about yes or no. It's just the Torah for me is a manual on how to live the best life possible.
Yeah, for sure. No, that's what I mean. Yeah, but
my question is, was that taught to you or drilled or you were brainwashed to think that?
Well, actually, if you know my story, I was actually born into an Orthodox family, and for 4 years, we call it in Judaism, we call it OTD. I kind of went
off the derech
path, and it was a meaningless one. I had a lot of questions, and then only recently, like a year ago, I started becoming more religious again.
Yeah, because the seed was planted when you were born.
In the beginning, you could say I was brainwashed, but I'm definitely not brainwashed now.
There was a guy who came up after I spoke to you, like 2 days later, who was like a graduate from the Waterbury Yeshiva, right? I mean, it's Waterbury or what?
I told you about the yeshiva.
Yeah, no, you told me about it, and then when he told me he was a graduate from it, I mean, he was saying the best things about it. But him and I almost agreed on everything, even proselytizing, by the way, right? Yeah, but I don't know. I mean, I couldn't make the shit up, you know, because you came out so like that. I mean, I haven't spoken to you in a while, you know. So I mean, it shows that that yeshiva is helping a lot of people who like went out.
Waterbury has hundreds and thousands, has thousands of boys who every single boy is different, and they're all boys struggling, and all the school does is just give them love. We love them no matter where they're holding in life and no matter what they're going through. And eventually it brings with that love, it brings them back to God. You know, they're looking for a connection. They're looking for me, like I told you, for 4 years, I wanted so bad to have some sort of feeling like to Judaism. I just didn't have it. And then I wanted it. I wanted it so much. Right. And it slowly started coming to me. And like I recently told someone, I had a conversation with a random stranger I met at a hotel. A Hasidic Jew who didn't understand, because I was with, I'm in a school where there are a lot of boys who are still struggling with Judaism, and he didn't understand like why they were acting certain ways or whatever. So we had a whole talk, and one of the things I told him is that as a child sitting at the Shabbos table, right, I watched how my father would make kiddush, and he would sit, and like he would sit there with so much love. You could feel it. You could see it in his eyes. He has so much love towards God, right? And for me, like, is what I was brought up with, and I was so jealous of him. I didn't understand how he can have such a strong connection. What is wrong with him? Like how is it possible? How can he love God so much? I don't, like, I was questioning him. You know, like I never seen it before. I don't know who this God is. I don't know who Hashem is. But when I, after 4 years of, of living the life of a non-Jew, right? Like I was partying, girls, this absolutely no meaning, right? At a certain point, when I got to my lowest point, the cravings I had, like, for a connection with Hashem were so strong, and I started building. You know what Hispidus is?
What? I'm sorry.
I might be saying I have a Hasidic Shavara, like so. You may not understand it. But I'm saying Hispidus.
Oh, yeah. What you mean, like hit by the dude?
What's that?
That means when you go out into like the woods and you basically start yelling to God.
Yeah. So I sleep in the attic of my house, and I have a roof. I can go out on the ceiling, and at night, you could see the stars just from like one angle. I live in New York, so it's really hard. You can almost never see the stars. But there's one place like where I can is on my roof. All right. And I started going out there, and like I got very, very emotional. I was at my lowest point, and I went out there, and I at first, like, I remember someone told me about this, maybe like talking to God, like really having a conversation, and I thought I was laughing. I started laughing at myself. Right? I'm like, what am I doing? But like I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna do it anyway because I have nothing else to do. Like I have no one else to turn to, you know. So I did it, and I broke out crying. I had never felt such a strong connection before in my life, besides when I went to the hotel, right? And this is something I do at least once a week now. I go out and I have a conversation, or when I'm on the bus and something's wrong in my life or something's going good in my life, I'll talk to God, and it's not because I'm brainwashed. It's because it's a connection that I found, you know. Regardless of the fact that I grew up in an Orthodox family. Mm-hmm. So, to me, the Torah is so much more meaningful than what I can do and what I'm all at. It's not. To me, it's not like, oh, this is the rules. You have to follow them. If you're not, you're going to hell. It's not like that for me.
Yeah, no, I endorse your journey, by the way. Just my audience is a little different. I would say that the vast majority of outreach rabbis, like the Y.Y. Jacobsons out there, and even the Rabbi Mizrachis, cater to the average. You know,
but his journey is very similar to many Christian stories I've heard and many Muslim stories as well. It's the human mind, it's the human emotion, it's the human desire to belong. It's a human psychology plays a huge factor in this.
Yeah, Moshe, like alone here is Bukharian. You know, so in case you hear like the doubts,
Bukharian Israeli.
Wait, I mean, you. Like
I was born and raised in Israel.
Yeah.
I'm Hasidish.
Oh, okay, right. No, I thought. Yeah.
But I spent most of my my life here in New York City.
Yeah, but you still have that Soviet, religious doubt. That you have to be okay. So that's very unlike Bukharians. I would say Bukharians are probably easier to brainwash. So you're like a really difficult Bukharian to crack.
That's why Mizrahi is here a few blocks from my house every Monday and Wednesday brainwashing people.
Yeah, essentially.
Yeah, no. The difference is he said he heard many Christian stories like that too, and I'm not disagreeing with you. The difference is that, like I said, I can take out a Bible right now and go on for an hour how the whole thing doesn't make sense. Like it's one big contradiction. And if we took out a Torah right now, I don't think you'd be able to do the same without getting answers to every single contradiction that you have. Mm-hmm. That's the difference. My religion makes sense, and their religion doesn't.
Yeah, that's so. I cater to a different audience, so that was my point. That I mean, I appreciate your story. The bulk of the people who listen to me, listen to me because they typically come from atheistical backgrounds, a lot of them, and I try to make Judaism seem more ethical and reasonable and give them like I don't know, like an ethical outlet for their life. I think a lot of these college kids really want to do the right thing, but when they're looking to Judaism, all they see is Reform and Chabad. Right? So I'm more of a rationalist, but I'm not.
What I think, do most people look for what's right, what's ethical? I think most people are looking for what's true and what's untrue.
No, I know, but what does it mean? I mean, if you ask a Muslim what's true, he'll say the Quran is true. You know, I mean, such a.
I can't talk to atheists because it just the whole thing doesn't make sense. It doesn't. Atheists are all about logic and science. Logically, it doesn't make sense to be an atheist.
Right.
And the reason is because let's say you're right. Let's say there's no God, right? So what? You're gonna live a life with no meaning, right? Religion is very important for everyone. Religion gives people hope. It gives people something to lean on when they have nothing else to. It gives people comfort. It gives people. It makes people feel. I don't know the right word is the word I'm looking for. Not safe.
Yeah, but as a Jewish guy, like if you ever want to do kiruv, you're gonna have to focus on atheists. Most young Jewish people are atheists.
Listen, and let me tell you, and let's say, and if there is a God, right? So it's a 50-50 chance, right? So if there is a God, then you're going to hell. So to be an atheist logically doesn't make sense.
Oh, that's Pascal's wager. Is that what it is? You heard of Pascal's wager? Is it Pascal's wager that people should convert to Christianity just in case that if Jesus is the Messiah, you want to end up in hell? Yeah, but I'm just telling you that I cater to that audience more. I'm not big into Kabbalah. The average person who appreciates my videos loves that I emphasize ethics and morality and trying to make the world a better place and not rewarding people with heaven and punishing them with hell. So that's my audience. But of course, I can't claim to be rational and at the same time not encourage Judaism. But that's just a rational conclusion that if you like something, you spread it, unless the religion itself prohibits it. When that's my whole thing, that Judaism doesn't prohibit it.
Do you believe in Ruach HaKodesh?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on how you define the Holy Spirit. What's Ruach HaKodesh for you?
Like the Arizal had Ruach HaKodesh.
Oh, that type of Ruach HaKodesh. It's interesting. All right, so Ruach HaKodesh, most people who don't know, it just means Holy Spirit. But Ruach HaKodesh nowadays, it means that you're like an Adam Gadol or a Sefer Torah Chai or Das Torah. That you have like an aura.
You're so close to Torah that you're so. Torah is so in you that like you understand things that other people
I don't believe in that. Yeah, I don't believe in that.
You don't believe in that?
Yeah. So by Litvox, it's a term Das Torah because Hasidim always felt that their Admor was on that Madrega, but it was a Gudas Yisrael in 1919, I believe, that instituted this notion of an Adam Gadol, like in the Litvish world. That I mean, some people call it Ruach HaKodesh, and in the article they wrote, it says it is a form of Ruach HaKodesh that rabbis can't make mistakes. Specific rabbis can't make mistakes.
Everyone can make mistakes. A rabbi is human, right? Just because you have Ruach HaKodesh doesn't mean you're not human.
Well, I mean, if you believe that it's God's Holy Spirit working through you, it's kind of hard for you to make the claim that you're making mistakes. I'm just telling you, I agree that they can make mistakes because I don't believe in the notion. But the average rabbi believes.
Yaakov Avinu had Ruach HaKodesh, and he was about to reveal when Mashiach was going to come. That was a mistake, and then God took away the Ruach HaKodesh. So he made a mistake.
All right, so you're saying that while they're under Ruach HaKodesh, they can't make mistakes.
I'm saying no. I'm saying having Ruach HaKodesh does not make you a god. Does not make you.
No, I know, but that medrash that you just used, you said that he was about to make a mistake and God took it away from him. Right? I know what you're saying. What the average Jew feels, the average Jew who believes in Das Torah, Ruach HaKodesh, believes that those rabbis can't make mistakes. I mean, there's a whole story about it with the Lubavitcher Rebbe. Like they asked him, why does your pencil have an eraser? Because Lubavitchers believe that the Rebbe can't make mistakes, and he's like, because something that's true today, that won't necessarily be true tomorrow. But he won't acknowledge that he can make mistakes. Yeah, for sure, 100% Chazal even made mistakes. There's a whole section in the Gemara called Masechet Torayot that deals with the errors of the Sanhedrin, and they had to bring a korban whenever they made a mistake. So if they can make mistakes, for sure, rabbis today who claim to have Ruach HaKodesh, for sure.
Let's talk about Lubavitcher. Do you believe in the countless stories of like Nisim that Lubavitcher performed, or?
All right, so Nisim are miracles. I mean, because my audience is mostly non-Jews. I'll say that about you and I, they don't tell such stories. Okay, and I've heard tons of them, especially here in Miami Beach, like right where I live. You know,
Well,
like
I lived one. You know, so you know Rav Gamliel.
I mean, which one?
Rav Gamliel Gamanovich.
No.
He's the biggest Kabbalist in Israel.
No.
So my mom she had leukemia, terminal.
Mm-hmm.
And we went to Rav Gamliel, and he told us he gave us like he didn't even like he first of all, this guy like when you picture going a Gadol Hadar, like you picture some old guy sitting in a seat, whatever. I was sitting in the waiting room, and this guy there was this like short guy with a white beard running around, you know, like he was laughing, this, that, like he has a really squeaky voice, he's laughing. And I'm like, I don't know who this guy is, but you know, like what's he doing? Like he's making noise, like she has some respect, you know, the Gadol is the next room. And I went in, and it was this guy sitting there. It was this Rav Gamliel. And my father broke down crying and told him what was going on. And Rav Gamliel said, "Don't worry, she's gonna grow to be an alto babushka." Okay, so and then he gave my dad a bag with matzah, and he said, "Put it in your bedroom." Okay,
Shrine.
It wasn't shrine. It was afikomen.
Okay, it was basic.
Put it in your bedroom, and he asked me how I was doing, this, that, whatever. We had a nice little talk, and went away. My mother went to the hospital. She was at home. She was home in a hospital bed. She went to the hospital for some tests about a week and a half later. Right?
Mm.
And the test showed she still had cancer, but it was no longer terminal. It was something that like the doctors could not even imagine. Like it was crazy. So
All right.
you know, that's from Jesus Christ.
All right. Yeah.
It sounds like I'm sorry to hear about your mother, but it sounds like also a story that Mizrahi would use in his lectures and in these getaway seminars that he has. I've heard so many.
Yeah, so I don't use those stories because there's just as many people who tried and it doesn't work. I think people should come to God because it makes their life more meaningful, more purposeful. You know,
I'm not saying. I'm just saying, like you said. I'm saying like you. When I say Ruach HaKodesh, I mean like these Gedalim have a connection with God that gives that they're able to be mispalo, and they have some sort of connection that they can help us.
I don't believe it. I mean, I'm just not convinced of it. I mean, every religion claims this to have holy men. I think it's better if you're gonna meet some gadol. I mean, get advice instead of a bracha.
Have you ever met a gadol?
It depends. You consider a gadol. Like I was in Muncie once, and I met Reb Moshe Green, which is considered by many people to be a gadol. I mean, I don't know. Like I was in yeshiva in Esha Torah, like Reb Noach Weinberg. That was my Rosh Yeshiva. I think some people consider him a gadol. I mean, I haven't met, like Rav Shalom Eliashiv or Rav Adi Yosef, if that's what you mean.
Have you ever been to the Kotel?
Yeah, I mean, I was in Aish. Aish is in the old city in front of the Kotel.
Okay, so do you know there's like a feeling like when you're at the Kotel.
I lack that feeling. Like I made Aliyah. The first time I was there, I walked with the Kotel, like up to the Kotel, and I touched it, and I thought I was gonna feel something. I didn't really feel anything. I mean, it's.
Did people you ever heard from people that you could feel something?
Yeah, no, for sure I heard it. But I just didn't feel it.
So me personally, I felt something in my bones. I met Rav Chaim Kanievsky.
Okay.
When I met Rav Chaim Kanievsky, I was standing in front of him, and there was a feeling even more than the Kotel. Like it was like I was in front of someone. It wasn't like obviously he's a human being, but I can't explain it. It was like he was shining.
All right.
All right.
I'm just all right. Anyway,
there's some imbalances going on over there. Do you know what I'm saying, Rabbi?
Here, let's move forward. But I appreciate your experience, and it touched a lot of people. It's just like like my average student or the people who listen to my stuff are more rationalist, and just there's all religions claim this for themselves, and people have stories, and I don't think people should come to God because of stories. You know.
Again, I wasn't.
No, I know you weren't trying. I mean, you're just telling your story.
Yeah, the way that the crowd here is, it's like 2024. We're beyond, having feelings and certain things that a lot of people claim.
All right, anyways, Felipe, welcome, Felipe.
Thanks, Robert. How are you doing?
I'm gonna go. Have a great night.
All right, have a good Shabbos. Take it easy.
Hey, Asher,
Robert.
are you multi-platforming?
No. All right, what's up, Jesus?
I'm hearing multiple voices. Am I tripping? Is there somebody else on the panel other than just me and you?
On YouTube. Yeah, we're on YouTube and Facebook.
Okay, so you are multi-platform.
Oh, am I? Yeah.
All right, what's the deal, bro?
Oh, man, you have so much background noise. It's hard to. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, no, I'm actually out of it right now.
Yeah. Like, just come back on when you don't have so much background noise, just because it's not so entertaining. All right, Felipe, what do you got? Felipe always has a challenge.
Robert, I've talked about this last Friday, but my internet went down, so I couldn't respond and listen more. So the importance about the restoration of the Sanhedrin for me is because of the enforcement and punishment that they would inflict on the murders, like would be the most the main cause of it. But like everyone else, like you say,
have in Israel. It's not very common.
No, I understand, but it's not legit. I mean, you say the most important part of the Torah is the ethical part, and I think that it includes the punishments, the mitzvahs of punishment of the wicked, like killing the murderer. Like you always say the phrase of taking out the evil from amongst your midst. That verse is right after killing the murderer. I mean, that's just as important as not killing, not murdering. I mean, so
Murder?
what?
No, I thought it was after Parshat Shoftim, but whatever, it's fine.
No, I mean, like there is, by the way, something I've discovered with Judaism, because in Christianity, they tell they are superior morally because they forgive. So when you go back to the Torah, you see that it's not like the Pharisees were like on a lower moral ground, not forgiven and punishing, like the story of the adulterous woman. It's like they were obligated by the Torah. It's not like an optional thing. I mean, it's just like the verse in the Talmud that the bloody court would punish like 7.
Yeah.
Yes, so I think that's stupid, and many liberal rabbis quote that verse in the Talmud. So the next verse quotes that's stupid because the murderers would flourish on Israel. So
guys,
that's
wait, hold on. I mean, I want to emphasize what you said here, because what he's saying is absolutely true. How many times haven't you heard that Judaism doesn't believe in the death penalty? Because there's a statement in the Talmud that says that any court that unalives more than 2 people in 70 years is considered a bloody court. I mean, people misrepresent. There's Jews who misrepresent Judaism, because the next page, I mean, the next sugya says that could never have happened in Israel, or murder would have been rampant. Like one statement washes out another. How many times have you heard Jews say that every Jew gets a share in the world to come? All right? I mean, Chabad says it every day.
Yeah, but Barbara,
The next page says, wait, hold on. The next page of the Mishnah, like the next Mishnah says, and these are the ones who don't.
Yes, and these are the ones.
Ignore it.
By the way, Robert, you are included. The ones who don't is the ones who don't believe in the resurrection of the dead. But I mean, like this thing is like is about the Christian view and the Jewish view. Like they accuse the Pharisees of being the lower moral ground and something like that. But when you go back to the Torah, it's not like this. Like to be stringent is not always to be the higher moral ground. Sometimes you're being immoral, you're sinning by being stringent, like not killing the murderer. When there is a mitzvah to the judge to like to punish the wicked and to like I forgot the word, but to absolve the just, the righteous, and all these mitzvahs that can only be enforced with the court. So I mean that's the whole issue I'm trying to make about the importance of restoring the Sanhedrin. It's not like you say what mitzvahs we know we need to rule with the court. It's not about that.
Okay, so I agree a lot with that. Like I said, people unaliving other people is not the average crime that the criminal does in Israel. At least the criminal with a Jewish background. I think that our biggest issue is not having a court that can abolish or create new laws, right? Because like you're not talking about creating or abolishing laws, which is essentially what the Sanhedrin could do, right? In terms of freeing the agunot, like women being able to marry, whatever. I think the biggest issue is us not keeping the laws that are already there. We're not able to keep the laws in the books as they are. Now we're going to institute a court that could unalive people. Okay.
Yes, but that's the goal of the Torah. I mean, to have a functional society.
I know, but it could function. The vast majority of the laws could be handled by hediotot, like average laymen. Like you don't need to have smicha to like for the society to function. Thank God that we have rabbinic literature that tells us the do's and don'ts. I think it's important. I'm just worried who would run it. Like if you have a Beit Din Hagadol, like who would be the Nasi? Because they created one, by the way, and they made like for the Nasi a Lubavitcher. Evan Yisrael, like Rabbi Adenstein Saltz, I mean he passed away already, was the Nasi of the Sanhedrin, of the new Sanhedrin that no one ever accepted. I think it's still in existence, right? Wait, did he pass away? Yeah, I think he passed away. So it's important, but I'm worried, like giving even like 70 men that much power. You know what I mean?
No, I don't understand. I know. I mean, even Robert Mizrahi knows the difference. I mean, I've thought about in the past that the ultra orthodox didn't know about the difference. Like you say, they think everything is Isur is like a death penalty. But even Robert Mizrahi, who would say like various things are Isur in Shabbos, he tell a story about a guy who is about tshuva, but he wouldn't go Shabbos without watching TV. So for him not to sin, he said to let the TV on from before Shabbos. I mean, I know you don't agree that electricity is Eastern in Shabbos, but just an example that Rabbi Mizrahi knows it's not Shabbos shtick to watch TV on Shabbos, but he also knows that is not forbidden. So someone like him would not like kill a person who just do something not Shabbos shtick.
Okay,
do you know what I mean?
Like he's willing to assassinate people's character by calling people names, right? Like I would hesitate to give someone that much power. I mean, have you seen what his student says about me? Like basically, or by people he disagree with? He told someone in a debate that Rabbi Yaron Rubin told someone in a debate that if it was legal, I'd unalive you, right? Because like the guy was an atheist and he was questioning him. So I don't, yeah, like these guys don't have the right temperament for it. So this is why I say constantly that I don't want another temple built right now. But I don't want a Sanhedrin put together because.
But it would be the dream, Rabbi. I mean, like the biblical Israel restored. Like
I get it.
I don't.
Satmar, to be in charge of the temple, or Total Saran, to be in charge of the Sanhedrin, because that's what's going to happen. It's going to be like the mullahs in Iran. The special notion behind the Messianic age, right? It's not so clear in the Torah exactly what a Messianic age really is, but it seems that the only way that a religious government can actually function is when God's involved. God has to be there because we can't agree on crap. Jews don't agree on crap. And the idea, have you seen how they fight in the Knesset? Fight, throw chairs, like they don't. collectively, individually, that we're very smart. Collectively, we're very dumb.
You mean the religious politicians?
No, Jews in general.
No, but the Jews in general, I mean, they don't matter. Like the leftist government
Israel,
is not better than the religious government. I think it would be better a religious government.
So what would be better than a religious government?
Would be better a religious government than a leftist government, a secular one.
Well, I mean,
Than
maybe
what we have today.
Maybe if the religious government were run by rationalists like you and I, it's interesting. Like that it's conservative governments in Israel, which were the only ones who ever gave back land. The left-wing governments talk about giving back land, but they never gave back land. So it's completely upside down. I mean, anyways. I mean, look at Menachem Begin. Menachem Begin was supposedly like the frummest prime minister Israel ever had, right? And like he gave back the Sinai. So it. I mean, sometimes you think that
you're a Kahana, Robert Kahana supporter.
No, I used to be, by the way. I mean, I was telling people today that I ran kahana.org for 5 years because I lived for a very short time in Kfar Tepuach. And I was with the JDL guys, like the last bastion of Kach in Israel. And I've always been a computer guy. That's what I do for a living. I'm an IT guy. So, I mean, I ran kahana.org and I had all his literature and all that stuff. But I mean, I don't think he's wrong. However,
would Israel and the Jewish people be in a different state today if he ran the show?
Well, like for sure, they would have lost the support of the U.S. I don't think he would have cared. I mean, he said that the next Shoah was coming from the U.S. But the reason Israel kowtows to U.S. influence is because of all the money that gets thrown their way. So when you take money from a country, you have to kind of do what they tell you to do. Like Meir Kahana was for putting like Arabs on buses and sending them to Egypt and Jordan. That's just not going to fly in a country that's majority secular. It's just not going to fly. I mean, is it practical? Yeah, it's practical. I mean, I don't know how you would accomplish it, right? But it seems like it's a solution that you could write it down on a piece of paper, like on one page, right? Is it complex? Is it quite? I mean, I guess one could say that it's possible but not probable, or probable but not possible. One of those.
But Robert, so we just have to wait to see who gets the majority of the population first naturally, the Arabs or the Haredim. Like the secular people don't have kids, so they will die eventually by the end of the century.
So because the only people having tons of children, kindalach in Israel are Hasidim essentially.
Baruch Hashem. So by the end of the century, we'll have a Haredi government.
Man, if you had they're not equipped for that. I mean, don't forget, who was it? Nuskver? Like, who was the group that Hillary Clinton basically got to vote for her because she made a big donation to their Rebbe? Was
New Square?
Yeah. I think it's
upstate New York.
Do the same in Europe.
I mean, I don't know about what happened in Europe. I mean, this idea that only because you're religious, you're going to make the right decision in politics, that may work in America, like a Mike Huckabee. But in Israel, I don't trust religious people as far as I can throw them. We have Haredi parties. We have Shas, which is a Sephardi Haredi party. I think we still have Degel HaTorah. And all they vote for essentially is for more welfare from people who have a lot of kids, right? I mean, and they partner up with other groups. Like Shas tried to pass the law that converts would not be able to make Aliyah. Shas. They were going to ban converts from making Aliyah, solidifying the idea that Israel is a racist state. All right. I mean, the day they do that in order to be Israel, right? Although we know this is a secular country, but even to live in the land, you have to have Jewish blood, right? That would solidify the idea that it's racist. Okay. But the simple fact that they allow anybody to come in, you have Nissim Black, you have Studemeyer, whatever, you've been shying for a little while. It shows you're not racist. So it only because you're religious doesn't mean that you make the right decision. I tend to believe like Netanyahu, or even someone who's more religious, like a Moshe Feiglin, than like a Haredi guy. They're making decisions. Right? I mean, just look how Haredim look. Right? All disheveled, like, is that the term? You know, like disconnected from the world, not wanting to work, sending their wives to work. Nah.
Oh, did
Robert,
you see that new article? I'm sorry to cut you off. Oh, you've seen the movie American History X?
Yes, I have.
Do you know that that movie was written about an actual person, a neo-Nazi American guy?
I mean, use a different word because TikTok
Oh,
takes
sorry.
the word.
So
Like,
he
yeah,
found out, this guy found out through the genealogy of 23andMe that that he is Jewish from great-grandmother, from his great-grandmother, and he became pretty much religious. He went from one extreme to the other.
he became a religious Jew.
He became religious, and you see a picture of him. This is in the New York Post of him. He has the filling on.
What's the name of the
with a-
actor? It's Norton.
yeah, Ed Norton. But
yeah,
I'm
Ed
gonna
Norton.
I'm gonna post the article here. It is very and the movie was based upon this guy.
Yeah, I mean, the problem with that movie, I mean, it's a great movie, but it's so leftist. You know, like when like the Yahtzees are making the arguments, you know, for like limited immigration and all that stuff. I'm like, this makes a lot of sense. You know, I don't know, yeah, but it's a very left wing movie. Very left wing movie. Obviously, I'm not endorsing. You know, I'm on the Jewish side. So that being said, American History X. There's another movie.
Yeah, the neo-Nazi who inspired American History
Yeah,
X is now Jewish.
Yahtzee. So there's a movie called The Believer. You heard of it?
No.
So The Believer it's similar in the sense that it has to do with Yahtzees, but it's a Jewish guy who grows up from and then becomes a Yahtzee.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I think that's the name of the movie. It's called The Believer. You guys have to watch the movie. It's not an Orthodox movie. Like, the guy's like conservative, and then at the end, he's like about to blow up the show or something. Hold on.
Look at that. That's the New York Post article. Very interesting.
So The Believer. Let's see. So it's called The Believer from 2001. And it's like a young Jewish man develops a fiercely anti-Semitic philosophy based on the factual story of a KKK member in the 1960s who was revealed to be Jewish and then it got cut off. Yeah, it's called The Believer. Interesting movie. Yeah.
Take a look.
All right, next topic, guys. Next topic.
I was just asking, so about the Mahon Shiloh, I don't understand, and I don't understand like their ideology. I mean, they are Zionists, like religious Zionists, but it seems that they take serious like the government as it's already a renewal of the biblical
I don't think
government.
though. I don't think David Baruchim identifies as a Zionist. He supports Israel. Like America Hana, I don't think America Hana was a Zionist. Like most hilltop settlers support Israel, but they'll say it belongs to us, and basically the irreligious people could just leave, right? Because like their settlements get torn down all the time. Yeah, like these guys were trying to build a country like in Yehuda v'Shomron called the Kingdom of Judea, and they had their own flag and everything. I mean, they didn't endorse Israel. Like most people online can't tell the difference, right? I mean, they think that if you're if you don't call yourself a Zionist, you're automatically anti-Israel. It's not true. There's a lot of people who are pro-Israel who just don't identify as that. But anyways, what else? What are your thoughts on Candace Owens? I just made a video about Candace Owens, by the way. Candace Owens is not what these dummies claim that she is. Okay. Did you hear the debate that she had with this rabbi? This guy, he's so cringy. He makes us look horrible. This Rabbi Barclay, whatever his name is. I mean, he must be like Reform or something, but he was just like going after her. I mean, she's been so good to the Jewish people, and that's so silly. How
What about Rabbi Shmuley Boteach?
Also, like he's here. I mean, trying to get her to lose money. It's such a shame. It's such a shame. And yeah, I mean, she got a little emotional on Twitter, but still, it doesn't matter. Okay, I mean, like just because someone happens to disagree on Israeli policy, look, If you're anti-Israel, it doesn't automatically mean you're an anti-Semite. Now, are there many anti-Semites who are anti-Israel? For sure. But only because you may disagree with some of the policies doesn't mean that you're anti-Semitic.
So Daily Wire fired her.
Yeah, there you go. This is why. I mean, I actually live now near Ben Shapiro because he's here in Boca. But, since he became a never Trumper in the beginning and then he sort of took it back, I always felt this guy's a little wishy-washy. Right? I mean, like, I've seen Candace Owens twice, I think, in person. She's a very smart lady, and she's extremely courageous. Extremely courageous.
You ever watch the interviews with Piers Morgan? Is it? No.
Yeah, I mean,
and Rabbi Shmuley Boteach and the Turkish guy.
Well, him also, like in Mohammed Hijab.
Oh, Mohammed Hijab, forget about it. That guy's a psycho.
Yeah, so I actually around 5 years ago I messaged him to try to have a debate with me, but I don't think I want to do it now, just because he's too. Like, he just starts insulting you, and I hate demagoguery.
Yeah, he's got a whole act or the whole kind
it's like he's probably used to dialoguing on Speaker's Corner, where the person who yells the loudest wins. But this is not the type of debates I do. Mine are totally intellectual. In terms like, demagoguery. I hate demagoguery, which is appealing to people's emotions. Are you saying? Are you not against? Can you tell me if you're against the unaliving? Say yes or no. Yes or no. I never play those games. I never play those games because, like, my audience, I think, would look down on me if I did. That tactic is not one of people who think, like playing gotcha games. No, we don't need gotcha games. If you're prepared in your argument, make your case and let me respond. That's it. But yelling matches, don't go anywhere. Don't go anywhere. It's a shame that Andrew Tate actually came out against Israel, Sneeko, all these guys. I mean, I was telling people when Andrew Tate became Muslim, I'm like, it's a shame that he didn't consider Judaism. Not necessarily just for him, but because of all the young people who are going to become Muslim because of it. And people don't understand that. I went on a live before yesterday, like an Israel-Palestine live on TikTok. And then I always do this just to sort of gauge the ethics of the people in that room. Because they're here talking bad about the opposition, the Palestinians. That I get it. There's a lot of crappy Palestinians. There's a lot of crappy Jews. Everyone's a mixed bag. But I said, wouldn't it be a nice thing if we offered people who have like a violent ideology an alternative to like their hatred, like maybe correct their misconceptions of the Bible and Jewish people and teach them a better way to relate to God? And they're like, hell no, like, we don't want that. We don't want them. Like, you can't teach them. They're inherently evil. And I'm like, we haven't learned anything. That throughout the centuries, we haven't learned to relate to other people. And then I told them, you know what? If I would have made the same claim to Muslims in a Muslim live, like, wouldn't you wish that you could talk some sense into the Israelis or Jews or whatever? They're like, of course. But it's a shame. Like, we have a long way to go for Judaism to truly call itself an ethical belief system. I mean, the Torah, I believe, is ethical, but the way Jews, nah. This is why I encourage people to consider becoming Jewish, because there's a lot of work to be done, but you have to work from within. We have to restore Judaism to Torah standards. Look at this, Liz. No, thank you. I'm curious. I want someone who says no thank you to come up and have a dialogue with me. The idea that you don't want your enemies right now in Gaza to consider a more reasonable, purposeful understanding of God, i.e. a Jewish understanding. Like, I don't get it. Like, what? Isn't that obvious? There's a medrash. There's a medrash that says, like, who's the hero of heroes? He who makes an enemy into a friend. Now, what these people don't understand is that anyone who argues Israel-Palestine on TikTok all day long is actually proselytizing. If you're trying to confront good ideas with bad ideas, that's a form of proselytizing. Only because someone does it in the name of Judaism doesn't automatically make it wrong. And as a matter of fact, it makes it so right because the argument is religious to begin with. The people you're arguing with, Israel over Palestine, you're arguing against a religious argument, which is why secularists who don't know anything about the Torah should not be representing Judaism in such a discussion, but they are. This is why people have to come to my show and find out that you could actually convert to Judaism. The average Muslim who comes on here doesn't even know you could convert. They've been dialoguing with Israelis for years, and the Israelis just stay quiet. Like when the Muslims say, well, Islam is for everybody and Torah is just for people who have Jewish mothers, and they just stay quiet. I'm telling you, we are our biggest enemies.
But do you know how difficult it is to convert?
No, wait. Okay. I know how difficult they've made it to convert. Okay. They politicize conversions, all of the above. However, I could convert them. Like if for some reason someone gives them a hard time and they really want to convert to Judaism, I'll convert them.
Do you know, according to their Quran, do you know what the penalty is for converting away from Quran? Come on.
No, I get it. Escape Gaza before you convert.
If they can, strap stuff on them and you do what they do, do you really think that's easy to convert?
Oh well, you'd be surprised if someone is willing to strap bombs onto themselves or whatever. Like you could imagine what they'd be willing to do more, horrendous to follow the truth. Meaning, if they found out the Torah was true, people who martyred themselves would like walk around with a kippah in the middle of Gaza. I remember when I was living in Israel, it came out in the news. Like right by where I live, there's this place called Chizme. Well, so Chizme is the border checkpoint by Beit El, because you have like Piskat Zev and then you have Beit El, whatever. That area. So what an Arab did was he refused to go back to his Arab village, and for hours he was just saying Shema Yisrael, Shema Yisrael, for the Jews to let him in, because he wanted to become Jewish so bad, but he knew that now he can never go back to his Arab village. And they eventually will let him in, and they did something with him. But there was another story that two Jews in Iran ran into like the Israeli council or something. This is, I guess, when there was some sort of decent relations, and the Israelis kicked them out. I'm thinking like that's such a bad representation of God and humanity.
I grew up in Israel for my early childhood, and I just don't know, Rabbi Asher, if you really truly understand the hatred that is there, especially coming from Muslims towards Jews.
No, I lived in the Shtachim for 5 years. I know. Well, that being said, like most Muslims out there, like the Bedouins, are like very nice, by the way. They're the ones who do all the constructions in the settlements. I understand, but it's essentially bad ideas versus good ideas. If we believe that people could change, and anyone who believes in kiruv, let's say, or shlichut, who reaches out to secular Jews, an atheist Jew, and brings them closer to Torah, understand how people could change. The difference is we have a misconception that we think that the only people who could change are people who have Jewish mothers, even though they believe the same thing as a Gentile may believe. Right, because atheists don't contribute to much goodness on this planet anyway. Okay, if a Jewish person could change, then a Gentile could change. There's no difference between a Gentile and somebody who's Jewish. Okay, their heart is the same, their mind's the same. If somebody keeps Torah, that's the distinguishing factor. So if Muslims can't change,
and not only change the consequences that they're going to have to, the wrath that they're going to have to face from the family, from the community.
We at least have to try. If you don't offer them an alternative to their religion, how can we ever complain about anything bad to do? We haven't given them an alternative. What alternative do they have?
By the way, Rabbi, I was reading these days the source of the conversion, not in the Rambam, the Masaches Yevamos, page 47. And I think that the reason it's given there that you should rush after the convert accepting, like you question him about if he really want to convert because Israel is persecuted. So then when he says he can and he will, so you should rush. You say like miyad, and then the Gemara says that the reason is because you shouldn't delay to perform a mitzvah. So I think that at least from the Gemara, they shouldn't deny to convert someone, like if the person wants to. It's not like what's implied.
This is unanimous. This is the opinion of Chazal. I mean, Hillel. The only story we have like in the Talmud of somebody coming to convert, is that guy that comes 3 different times. There might be 3 different guys, and in every one of those instances, it says that Hillel converts him immediately.
No, but
Let's
what
get
I say,
biblical. Let's say exactly what Rabbi Tovia Singer says. What does God wants us to do?
What does that mean?
What does that mean?
Okay, so
are we supposed to be the light to the nation, and that's about it, to the nations?
Wait. Okay, so
or are we supposed to go beyond that?
So, truth be told, the Torah doesn't ever say that Jews have to be a light to the nations. It says that
then
we have
why
to
are
be
we quote
a
unquote
Mamlechet Kohanim, which is like a priestly nation. The light to the nations is a misread of Isaiah. Is it 46, 42? I don't remember. It's actually talking about Isaiah. It's not talking about Israel. However, we take the laws of conversion, the halachas of conversion come from Israel before Sinai, and God before Sinai. So God is pleading with Israel to choose life, to choose Torah. God is making himself lovable. God wanted the mixed multitude and the Hebrews to accept Torah Mount Sinai, right? I mean, we could imagine if you took rabbis today to Mount Sinai, they'd be talking to the Israelites and the mixed multitude, telling them don't accept Torah. I mean, just live 7. That's how irrational it is. The notion that we're supposed to be, like some sort of secluded nation. Chazal are unanimous in the Talmud that they were more of the Erev Rav, more of the mixed multitude on Mount Sinai than Hebrews. And they all said Nasiv and Ishma, and they all became Israel. A few chapters later, they're indistinguishable. Right? Unless you listen to Rashi, and then you said that they.
I mean, what I saw is not like they all converted like in a rush. Is that the reason that they should do it? It's said in the Gemara that you should not delay to perform a mitzvah, meaning it's a mitzvah to convert someone who, of course, you already have questioned, and he said that he wants to, even though the Israel is persecuted. I mean, it's just there.
Yeah, it's clear. It's clear. The problem is that we politicize conversions.
And what I don't like also. Yeah, I don't know the source to be a mitzvah, but I mean, the Gemara says so. But the other thing that makes me sad is like, I like Rabbi Mizrahi, but he makes such excuses. So he says about, he emphasizes that the Torah says like 40 times to love the convert. So he says, oh, why you see me, or you would see people mistreating such supposed converts. He says this is a mitzvah to love the real converts. So he makes an excuse that there is such thing that's not like untrue convert. I mean, it's just an excuse to like not fulfill a mitzvah that is so important. He even knows, like 40 times repeating the Torah.
Guys, if people really loved converts, they'd want to see more converts. Okay, this is why I'm against this whole notion. It's not 40 times. It's supposed to be like Lamed Vav. 36 times it says. Right? They tied to the Lamed Vav Sadiqim. Hold on 1 second. Oh, I'll be walk. Okay. The reason I don't like people embellishing the notion of a convert is because once a Jewish person actually meets a convert, and they've been hearing their whole life how converts are, like holier than the high priest, blah 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 blah. They'll see how plain and simple the convert is, and they'll be like, well, like, you don't seem too special. You must be a fake convert, right? And then the first thing they'll ask you is like, who converted you? Because they want to disqualify that rabbi, like it's rabbi. So it's better to just treat them the same. Don't blow them up, because that in the back of people's mind just builds resentment. Like, I'm just, like chopped liver and converts are special. Just treat us the same. But it's bullcrap. It's bullcrap when someone says that we love.
You're right. You're absolutely right. Because then in Islam, it's not like that. They actually are happy, and they won't ask questions. And
Jewish people could learn how to treat converts by watching Muslims. 100%.
Yes, 100%.
And I'm not saying the Jewish people in the Talmud. They actually knew how to treat converts. I mean the Jewish people today. Just like Jewish women can learn modesty from Muslim women. And that being said, we do have a Muslim on the panel. What's up, Abu Bakr?
Yes, I'm fine. And you? What about you? I'm great.
That's it. We're all converting to Islam. The one
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim.
Peace be upon us. Abu Bakr, you got the stage.
Mashallah, mashallah, shalom.
MashaAllah. Alhamdulillah.
Wait, maybe my connection is...
Yeah.
Yeah, you listen, you hearing me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Where do you live?
I live in Senegal, but I used to live in the United States. Almost 10 years. I came back in Senegal.
All right. Yeah, like we spoke a day ago, no? 2 days ago? No,
Me and you?
Yeah, no? I mean, Abu Bakr is a popular name. You know, like maybe.
That's the first time.
Okay, so great. Okay. So
no, maybe you saw me on other lives.
Maybe. Oh, maybe. I mean, you seem to be. I mean, it's a popular name for sure. Are you familiar with the idea of people becoming Jewish?
But the Jewish religion, as my understanding and my researches, and we can notice that the religion of Judaism is very sectarian. Like obviously, you cannot come and be a Jew as you take Shahada to them.
Interesting.
Follow.
I'm glad that you brought that up. Okay, it's like you'd be surprised, and I'm talking to my audience. Like we're live on Facebook and TikTok. The average Muslim who comes on this show doesn't know that you could convert to Judaism, but they've talked a lot to Israelis and Jews on TikTok. They speak to them all day long in these debates, and the Jews never say anything. They make our religion look ridiculous. They'll say, oh, it's true. I belong to an ethno-religion. We're a people. In order for you to be Jewish, you have to have Jewish blood and have a Jewish mother, which is partially true. But they never mention that if you want to convert to Judaism, you're fully Jewish. That destroys the whole Islamic argument that the Quran was given to the world and the Torah was only given to Jews.
No, actually, the Quran never stated that the Torah was only given to the Jews. The Quran is stating that the prophet of the Judaism of the Jew was sent to the Jews, like other prophets were sent to their prophets. And you know why Muhammad is not only sent to his people, because he is the last prophet. So it's necessary for him to be the universal prophet after.
So Moses, yes, it's true that Moses, because God made a promise to Abraham that he would essentially let his relatives leave Egypt, because the vast majority of Hebrews actually stayed behind. Moses was actually catering not just the Hebrews, but to a mixed multitude of peoples. It says in Exodus chapter 12, you can look it up, that when they left Egypt, they left with a mixed multitude of peoples. And they all became Israel. So it shows that Moses, you know, I mean, he had everybody in there. He had Asians. He had, like Middle Easterners by definition are Asian. I guess, you know, like Middle Asia. Like he had black folks, Puerto Ricans, everyone coming out of Egypt together. So it shows that the same task that you felt that Muhammad fulfilled, Moses initially fulfilled.
Yes, personally, I believe that the word community doesn't mean specially the Jews, you know, like the Hebrews. Okay?
Yeah.
Community means all the people who were at his time, you know?
Yeah.
When Moses was here, he was the Khilafatullahi fil ard. He was the elected one by God for all the universe.
All right. Well, so now that you know that you could become Jewish, would you consider becoming Jewish?
No, you know why I don't need to become a Jewish? Because I have the same faith with the Jewish. Because
it's not exactly the same.
Law,
it's not exactly the same.
No, okay, but wait. Considering your law and your comments, it is stated that we can divide it by two. First of all, the first commandment, which is to believe in that one and only true God and the oneness of his entity.
It doesn't say all that, by the way.
Rabbi Asha, a better question would be, why would he not consider?
Yeah, well, I mean, he's explaining why, but I'm just like, I mean, he said that the first commandment is to believe in the oneness of his entity, which it seems like an Islamic addition to solidify the oneness of God. I believe that God is one. but I think Muslims take it to an unhealthy level. That, I mean, to just say God is one to a Muslim is still not proper monotheism. You have to show how God is not limited, how God can be compared to anything earthly, how God, they put a lot of regulations. So I mean, the Torah doesn't go in depth.
Of course, I can bring the verse.
Oh yeah, all right. So bring the verse where it says with the oneness of His unity.
If you go to the first commandment, what it is said in the first commandment?
It says, "I am the Lord your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt." And there's no commandment there, actually. Like, it's more of a statement, because I mean,
yes, it's a statement. That's what I'm saying. The first law, but you put it in the 10 Commandments. When you go to the 10 Commandments, the first one you call it the oneness of God.
So in Hebrew they call it the Serta Dibrot, which means the 10 statements. It doesn't. I know in English they say 10 commandments. I have no issue calling it a commandment, but it's really a statement, because the rabbis say, like, okay, how do you extract the idea that I'm the Lord your God who brought you out of the land of Egypt? And then they'll in parentheses they'll put, i.e. believe in me. So it's more of a statement, right? But it's more descriptive than prescriptive. But if you want to call it a commandment, fine. Okay, next point.
Yes, but the thing is, God is saying actually in that first statement that God is one and you should not make image of him.
Okay.
And you should not compare him to anything in the skies and on earth and in the deep sea, etc.
Okay, wait. So, okay, well, you're like, just to be accurate, it says, like, don't make anything that resembles anything in the sky or the sea that you should come to worship it. Yeah, but it's not necessarily talking about God. Because you're saying that God can't be compared to any of these things. I believe it, but I'm just so into accuracy. If that's like, I can't allow people to just add words to the actual thing.
Robert, but there is a whole chapter talking about this, not to make images that the people didn't see an image of God in the mount.
No, I know. Hold on. All right, go to Abu Bakr, finish.
I said I can give you another verse where God is stating by himself that he is not to be like anything in the Old Testament.
Okay, no. Here, Felipe on YouTube just said, he quoted the one that when you were up in the mountain, you didn't see a shape or a figure. No, I get it. I just feel
think it's the verse in chapter 5 or 6. It's a whole chapter. It's talking about not making any image, and then the end he tells it because you said it didn't see any shape in the mountain in the midst of the fire.
Yeah,
something like that.
As you know, that there's no actual prohibition in Judaism of not making images. It's making images that you should come and worship those images. So it's
but if you make the images, you are going wrong with the first statement.
Well, then that's a problem, because King Solomon added a lot of images to the temple that weren't worshipped necessarily, but they were allowed. But the notion of statues not being allowed in Judaism is like, statues were never a prohibition. A pestle is more like a statue that's being worshipped, like an actual idol. But I know in Islam, I think you guys have an issue with even drawing pictures.
Of course.
Yeah.
That's
so
how it is.
I
would be the spirit of the law.
But can you explain to me the first statement? If you read it, the first statement.
Yeah.
When you read it from the
beginning
to the end.
It says, "I am the Lord your God who brought you out of the land of Egypt." That's the first statement.
Yes.
That's it.
No,
and then the second one.
It's a long statement.
No. If you're splitting it, if you're going to split it in what we call the Aserta Dibrot as the first statement, now you have the second statement. The second statement deals with idolatry and the making of graven images.
Exactly. So it's the second statement. Great.
Yeah, right.
The second.
Well, so the second statement is dealing, I believe it's the second, because some people enumerate it differently. It's talking about don't make anything that resembles a star, like an angel, like anything in the sea that you should come to worship it. That doesn't necessarily mean
in the sea.
Yeah, no, I get it. Yeah, but that statement could exist without the initial statement of like feeling obligated to worship God. Here, for example, we have this notion in Judaism called a ger toshav, gerim toshavim, which is really similar to the Islamic idea of being dhimmi. That a Noahide, like what they also call them Noahides, doesn't technically have to believe in God. The prohibition is that he just shouldn't worship idols and he shouldn't curse God. So it shows that there could be a prohibition of worshiping idols without there being an actual prohibition of actually believing in God. Right? There is a Jews have to believe in God. I'm just saying that the idea is yeah. Anyways, yeah. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I was just saying, but that's illogic. If somebody doesn't believe in God, he can make whatever he wants. He can even worship himself. He can even declare he's the Lord. Because you don't believe in God.
Oh no, I mean I believe in God. Of course I believe. I mean, it's a
I
religious
didn't
show.
say you, but you explained to me right now that in Judaism, they don't force you to believe in God.
Oh, correct.
Yet they forbid to worship other gods like idols, right?
Right. I mean, if you're under the auspices of Israel, like meaning,
yes,
if you're not an Israelite and you want to live in the land of Israel, there's 7 laws. I mean, some say there's more, but there's the consensus is that there's 7 laws that you have to keep. So the first law, I believe, is like I think they call it Birkas Hashem, which literally means to bless God, but the rabbis would never say curse God, but it means that you're prohibited from cursing God. And then, like, it's Avodah Zarah, which means actually worshiping foreign gods or idolatry. But there is no actual command to believe in God. Because why? Because you can't legislate that, by the way. I mean, how can you legislate belief in God in a legal system that man's in charge of? Because it seems like the 10 Commandments are adjudicated by God. God tells you, God. To be honest, I never told you to believe in the 10 Commandments.
Robert.
It's a statement. It's not a law. I am the Lord your God who brought you out of the land of Egypt. There's no command there to believe in God. But go ahead.
So you want to tell me that in Judaism there is no 10 Commandments? If I hear you.
No. Okay. If you read it straight through, first of all, it never calls it 10 Commandments. It says Aseret HaDibrot, which means the 10 statements. So the first one is a statement. I mean, to be honest, it's a statement. It's not an actual commandment. It could be a mixture of commands and statements. But to walk around saying that there's a command that you must believe in God, that could be a rabbinic interpretation. Maimonides says that teaches us that there's no commandment to believe in God. He says there's a commandment to know God, right? But it's not in commandment form, right? Now, if you want something a little more direct, there's a commandment to love God. Now, that really depends how you define love. If you define love as an action, then it's not like, I mean, who can you pick? I mean, can you feel?
But it is said in the Torah.
Yeah.
It is said in the Torah, the love means to follow the commands of the Lord.
No. What do you mean? So to
if
love
you
something
want,
means to.
Okay, if you want,
I mean, following your wife or like loving your wife doesn't mean obeying your wife.
No, wait. Maybe what it will be better. Maybe tomorrow or next time, I will bring the verses. I will bring the statements, and then we'll discuss.
I mean, it says in our book, by the way. I mean, I'm pretty sure we know it. I mean, pretty short. I just try to be extremely accurate to what's there. But there are other portions in the Torah that do allude, like I mentioned, to love God. Like, what does that even mean? Like, if it just meant like to feel like fond and have like an extreme sense of then that's something I'm not sure how they could like legislate. But if love is an actual action, then that could make a little more sense. So perhaps we should define what love is.
But okay. But anyway, I respect Judaism for one thing. For his tawhid, I mean the belief of the oneness of God. And I have to admit that there are very pious people, because they're always praying and they always make the glory of the Lord. And I really appreciate that from them. That shows me and that confirms that Moses is a prophet of God. And the Quran is saying that amongst them, there are very pious people who in the night they worship God and they make the glory of the Lord. And that I really, really appreciate in the Torah, mashallah.
Okay, well, thank you for that. I mean, I appreciate a lot of ethical things that Muslims do. I obviously believe that Judaism is superior, or I'd become Muslim. Yeah,
But listen, Judaism, as I make my researches when I was 19, I saw that Judaism come from the name of Judah, one of the son of Israel of Jacob.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So actually, Judaism means those who follow the belief and the acting of Judah. But we need to find out what was the name of what Judah was practicing.
Yeah. Okay. So like, if you want to go closer to the roots, like of what Yehudah means and what the Yehudi ultimately means, it means one who worships God. But yes, I mean, Yehudah was one of the children of Jacob, but Judaism doesn't appear like in the Torah. Judaism doesn't appear in the Torah. I mean, it doesn't appear in the Bible. The closest thing that we can name our religion is Torah covenant. We have a covenant with God, an agreement with God that we're going to keep his laws, we'll be his people, and he'll be our God. That's essentially what our religion is. I mean, don't get stuck on the word Judaism. It doesn't really mean it.
Okay, great. So it's a covenant between you and God. What's the covenant? Is to believe in him and to worship him.
Yeah, okay? Well, obey him.
So to obey him, okay, whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
So according to Islam, which means literally in Arab, the fact that you obey God, that you submit your willing to his willing, that's what we call Islam. So actually, even you are in Islam. Maybe you want to call it Judaism or Yahudi or whatever you want to call it.
All right, from the same perspective, like you're a Yahud also. You know, I mean, like you're Yehudi because like, you claim to worship God.
But what's Yahudi mean? I want to know the meaning of Yahudi.
Well, it means one who loves God. I mean, it comes from, I believe, Hodah. Like, yeah, I mean, there's a character in the Torah. Her name is Yehudit. So, I mean, the term does appear in the Torah, but not as a term like Yahadut, which is what Judaism means in Hebrew nowadays. I mean, it doesn't mean anything because it's a much, much later term. Judaism didn't exist in the Bible, although they had a belief system, but it's made up of a contract, which is essentially what a covenant is, that Israel would keep Torah. And yeah, so, I mean, from that perspective, if you're just talking about descriptive terms, then you're a Christian as well, you know, because you believe in Jesus, right?
No, no, I'm not a Christian at all.
Wait. So
because
wait, hold on.
Why?
So
why
you're not a Christian? Yeah, but I'm a Muslim.
You know why I'm not a Christian?
Why?
Because Christian, they believe in the godly being of Jesus, which is.
Then I can tell you why I'm not a Muslim. Because I don't believe in the Quran and I don't believe that Muhammad was our final prophet or messenger. So, but if we're dealing with descriptive terms alone, then you are a Christian, and I am a Muslim.
No, you are not a Muslim. You are not a Muslim for not believing in Muhammad. No, that's not the meaning of Islam.
That's what I mean, and that's not the meaning of Christianity. Like being a Christian means that you follow the Christ and you believe that Jesus was the Christ, right?
No, listen. The Christian, what they believe about Jesus is not our faith.
No, I know. Yep. Okay. What Muslims believe about Muhammad is not my faith either. But you're saying that Islam comes from the descriptive term to submit, and Christian comes from the descriptive term to follow someone named the Christ. So I could say that I'm as much of a Muslim as Muhammad was a Christian.
No, you didn't hear me well, and you didn't understand me. I said Islam means to submit to the true one God. That's why I said in the beginning.
Oh, it doesn't say true. Wait, hold on. I mean, it doesn't say the true. I mean, it just means to submit.
The reason why I said that I respect very well the Jews, I told you because they submit to the one and only true God, which is Yahweh, Eli, Adonai. You understand?
Yeah, I understand.
And the Christians, they don't believe in the oneness of Adonai because yet they believe that Jesus have the same substance with Adonai, which is totally wrong and false. It's like you told me you are the Egyptians.
Yeah, but that's not why you said that I'm a Muslim. You said that I'm a Muslim because the root word of Islam means to submit to God. Right? So someone who submits to God.
To the true God, to the true God, to the one and true God.
I mean, yeah, but you're adding the true part. I mean, Islam, which just means to submit.
Why you need to understand that? If it's that, so any people who even worship one idol, who even worship one idol and submit to that idol, according to your understanding, will be a Muslim, which is not the case.
Well, it's because I don't walk around calling people Muslim. That's the thing. I mean, I view it as a tactic that Muslims do to get new adherents. Because they'll
Well,
tell
the
you.
new thing is that Muslims also say that Jesus is a Muslim.
No, yeah, but not just Jesus. They'll say Muhammad.
Moses was a Muslim.
Abraham.
Everybody was a Muslim. Yeah.
So we can say that anyone who believes in Jesus is a Christian, right? I mean, that's technically. Yeah.
Listen to that. Why Christians are not Muslim? Because they didn't submit to the one and true God.
Wait. So when a Christian converts to Islam, like he's called a revert.
No, maybe they do it, but he should call a convert because they have a kufranic. No, I can prove it to you in the Quran. لم يكن الذين كفروا من أهل الكتاب.
Here, can you marry a Christian?
Yes, the kuffar, the Christians.
Yeah, but can you marry a Christian?
Sorry?
Can you marry a Christian?
Me?
Yes.
A very good topic. A Muslim only can marry a Unitarian.
Okay, so that's actually incorrect. There's many Muslims who married Catholics. Right? The notion of Unitarians didn't exist in Jewish history. I mean, like apart from Jews themselves, but not amongst Christians. I mean, that's a very new doctrine.
No. We don't jump. I didn't say. You know why it is permitted for us to marry Jews and eat their food? Why? Because they sacrifice it to the true God. Why we cannot marry Trinitarian or Protestant or Jehovah's Witness? Because they do kufr. But we can marry Unitarians amongst them who believe in the one and only true God.
Yep, I know you say that, but I've heard many Muslims, and even in Islamic history, that they married Catholics. The idea that they were Unitarian Christians walking around, right? It wasn't a prominent movement back then. I mean, back then, there were Copts, there were Catholics.
According to the Quran, people need to stop judging Islam by the acts of the Muslim. People should judge Islam by the Quran and not by the acts of the Muslim.
Yeah, no, but there's different interpretations of the Quran.
Marry a Trinitarian, he did a very bad thing, and it is not recognized by God. This wedding, this marriage is not recognized by Allah.
Okay. Yeah, but what I'm saying is factual. There are many Muslims who believe that Catholics could be married into, and not just that, they're considered people of the book as well.
No, listen, the people of the book, in the Quran, I recite the verse, لَمْ يَكُنِ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا مِنْ أَهْلِ الْكِتَابِ. So the Quran is saying that a big part of the Christians and the Jews are kuffar. Why they are kuffar? Because they think that Uzair is the son of God and Jesus is the son of God. Those people who believe in the Trinity and those kinds of beliefs are not part from the people of the book according to the Quran. Who is the one of the scriptures? It is those who do good and at night they worship the only and one God. They do good, and God even stated that those people are gonna have Jannah. They will be granted because they believe in the oneness of God and they don't do shirk. It is those we can deal with.
So
that's the truth. You want to hear the truth?
So
that's
Muslims, hold on. I mean,
even
hold on.
He makes a bogus statement.
No, I get it. No, I mean, I've spoken to many Muslims who said that you could marry Catholics. This notion of Unitarians, I've heard that also, but I guess there's a debate about in Islam. But he said that, and I've heard this before also, that Islam teaches that Jews used to worship Ezra as the son of God. Yeah, I mean, I've never heard that in Jewish life, but I've heard Muslims say it. But
because the Quran stated.
Yeah, right. No, right, because the Quran says it. Yeah.
But what I want you to do, to understand, to know the truth between who's telling the truth between those Muslims who can marry all Christians they want and those who marry the Unitarian, go to the Quran. You're gonna see that it is not permitted.
It may not be permitted. I'm just telling you what popular Islam teaches. There's a lot of Jews who teach things that I don't teach, but I'm not going to deny they teach it. That's it.
No, but that's why I said to you, what I'm quoting here, it's verses from the Quran.
No, I get it. You don't have to convince me. We're talking about Islam in general. I would say most Muslims feel that you could marry Catholics. You may disagree. It doesn't I don't believe in the Quran regardless. It's
but
fine.
that's the error.
It may be an
is
error.
you-
It's fine. It's.
Okay, great. No,
I don't believe.
but
I think the Quran is an error in general. I mean, or then I'd be Muslim. Like just like you believe my Torah is incorrect, or that you'd be Jewish. Yeah, there's nothing. Like,
No,
we both
me-
defend our
me-
I mean,
no.
our own religions.
Me, I believe in your Torah, and I believe that there is truth in it, and I find the truth in it, but there is also falsehood in it.
No, so then,
And
okay,
I can give you a lot of contradiction from the Old Testament, lot of contradiction.
that's
I wrote a
fine.
book
That's
on it.
fine. No, that's
I
fine.
wrote
Yes,
a book
okay.
on it.
Yeah, but if I walked around saying that I have that I view the Quran as true but false at the same time, then in your eyes I wouldn't be accepting the Quran. So it's yeah. So the Torah we have, like you believe, is corrupted. It's fine. I mean, this is what your religion believes.
Yeah.
No, I
can give you one simple
but
example.
it doesn't. Okay,
In
hold
the
on. Only because there's an inconsistency in the Torah doesn't mean it was corrupted. If anything, that adds to the authenticity. When you have a book that has been redacted over and over again and can only be understood via a code called the Hadiths, means that you have an auto-correcting religion. That's what we don't try to do with Judaism, although many people through the Talmud will try to explain the inconsistencies in the Torah. But it's disingenuous to do that. You see, if I would tell you that the Quran or when the Talmud corrects all the inconsistencies in the Torah, you'll be like, well, that's not the Torah. But if I told you that the Quran should stand on its own without the Hadith trying to justify it, well, you'll be like, that's not how Islam runs, right?
No, it's not the same example.
Why not?
You know, listen.
I mean, the Hadith is just as valuable to Muslims as a Talmud is to Jews.
Yes, I understand you, but let me explain you. Then maybe you can return me back. Okay. The difference between contradictions and a sealed book, the difference is when you go to the Torah, you're gonna see that God is saying a mortal cannot see the eternal. And yet in the same book, you see Jacob or another prophet said that I saw God with my own
That's
eyes.
fine. No, I understand, but that's not considered okay. That doesn't mean that the book got corrupted. Like, do you know what corruption means? It means someone went in there and changed things.
No, but also corruption means because it's the Quran who is teaching us.
No, I get
said,
okay.
Wait.
Yeah, but say that it's a
Quran
religious statement. I mean, say that it comes from the Quran, but you're saying that we essentially corrupted the Torah only because there's an inconsistency in the Torah that adds validity to the Torah. You know how easy, if we were in the business of modifying our text, how easy it would be to make Moses look sinless, to make our prophets, like Islam does, look sinless. You believe prophets don't sin, right?
No, it is false. Whoever said that, he's a liar, because God had said in the Quran that we have forgiven you, O Muhammad, your sins. How come God can say to Muhammad clearly in the Quran?
Forget about what the Quran. I'm saying Islam. Okay. The position of Islam is that prophets don't sin.
Even according to Islam,
I've heard Muslims say all the time that one sign that the Torah is corrupted is because it shows Noah getting drunk, and a prophet would never do that.
I said in the Torah there are manifest contradiction, and I can bring it.
Wait, is okay.
But the difference. Listen to this.
Yeah, no, but a contradiction doesn't mean that it's a sign of corruption. You're trying to say that it's been corrupted by the Jews, but why would we corrupt it to make it look like a contradiction? If we would corrupt the Torah, it would claim to be what you claim the Quran is. Immaculate, perfect. That shows that someone went in and tried to fix it. And I'm not convinced that the Quran is perfect, by the way, but I know it's a tenet of your faith that the Quran is like uncorruptible. It's a statement. I don't even know why that would be a tenet, right? I mean, it should be able to stand on its own on how corruptible it is or not. But only because there's an inconsistency in the text doesn't mean that someone went in there and changed it.
No, listen. Maybe that's why I said if you want us to bring proofs, let me maybe another time.
I'm making okay.
Clearly.
You do acknowledge. Okay.
In the Torah.
No, that's not the point. I said that actually adds validity to the Torah. Showing prophets making mistakes adds validity.
No, it is not prophet making mistakes.
Hold on.
It is false statement.
Huh? What do you mean? So prophets don't make mistakes?
prophet do make mistakes. They do mistakes. It is clear.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes,
And inconsistencies in the Torah doesn't mean that the Jews changed it, because if they would change it, they would write the inconsistencies away. A sign of something being changed is when everything sounds like it's written by one author. Like everything has to match up. You know, it's an ancient text that's there to preserve the mitzvot, the commandments within the Torah, which, by the way, are intact no matter what Torah you go to, with the exception of the Samaritan that adds one commandment. All the commandments are intact. You know, so I mean, who cares?
All the commands are. Even I can show you that the commands had been tricked by the rabbinic.
All right, do it.
By your price.
All right, give me an example.
I can prove it. Yeah, so that's why I told you maybe actually I cannot go on my
you
other
can't prove
devices
it. Okay, yeah, but you made a statement that you can't prove.
No. Why I'm gonna come to your panel? We talk respect.
Oh no, because I'm welcoming you to. No, hold on.
It's the truth.
Welcome dialogue on this channel. As a matter of fact, it gives me content for my channel. I love dialoguing with respectful individuals like yourself. But if you have something, I mean, if you use the word proof, that means that you have to show some receipts.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
So when Muslims claim that the Torah is corrupted, hold on. When Muslims say the Torah is corrupted, what you're actually saying is that the narrative is inconsistent. Not that the commandments in the Torah is corrupted.
And even the law.
Okay, so you have to give me an example. Oh, you're going to say, I'm going to assume you're going to say this because most Muslims make this argument. And I dialogue with many Muslims here. That because a Jew is allowed to charge interest, that's a sign of the corruption of the Torah.
It is one of the how can I say it? It is one of the corruption because
exactly
the law,
because it contradicts the Quran.
No way. How it contradicts the Quran?
Because the Quran says that you're not allowed to charge interest.
To charge a Jew?
No. The Quran says that you're not allowed to charge anyone interest.
No, listen.
Oh wait, I can't hear you.
I said in Islam there is no interest. You cannot charge nobody.
Correct. Yeah, but in Judaism you could.
I can show you that in Judaism, the rabbinic, the prior said between Jewish, we don't tax each other. Right. But if it's non-Jewish, then we tax.
Yeah, well, not tax. I mean, it's called, it's ribis here, which means that you're allowed to charge interest, which is a great thing, by the way. You know why it's a great thing? Way. No, but I'll tell you. Because there's no incentive. There's no incentive in Islam for people to lend money, which means people won't lend money. While when you have an incentive to lend money, people will do it, happily. And this country is built on people borrowing money. And I'm pretty sure you're probably financing your home as we speak. So receiving loans with interest, borrowing money to buy things you can't afford so that you can put yourself in such a position to honorably pay it back is a blessing. I don't know how. As a matter of fact, if you go to Dubai today and you want to finance an apartment, they offer you financing. Tell me how that's not interest.
No, listen to that. You know why God had told us in the Quran?
Oh, but can you answer the question?
Because listen. If you don't listen, you're not going to understand. And you make statements that will make you understand that your prior have changed the scriptures.
No.
Okay?
Yeah, but just answer the question.
In Islam,
okay. In Dubai
Islam,
today,
when your brother needs money, your brother needs money, he cannot have a problem, and you add another problem on his problem and charging him something else.
No.
So that's.
I'm going to give you a response to that. Wait, hold on. I'm going to give you a response to that. Okay. Hold on. I'm going to give you a response for that. However, why is it that if I go to Dubai or Iran today, right, Islamic republics to some extent, I mean, even Pakistan, and I want to purchase a property, religious Muslims will offer me a finance plan. Right?
Muslims.
Yeah, Muslims will. So that shows that Islam is not against interest. What you consider, what we consider ribis, you consider price gouging.
But can he answer that question?
Yeah, but he's not going to answer it.
I want to hear his answer.
I will answer.
Okay, answer.
Take your time.
So that's why That's why a few minutes ago I said your big problem is you are judging Islam by the acts of the Muslim, and many Muslims, they are Muslim by word and not by acts.
Okay.
That's the,
I would say that the vast majority of Muslims view finance not as interest. And that's what Jews do.
I'm telling you something, me. Before I really knew that Islam forbids interest, I have a PhD in finance, in conventional finance. And when I discovered that, I abandoned my diploma. I leave it. Me personally, I'm talking to you. I swear on God.
Do you consider yourself a Quranist?
Sorry?
Do you consider yourself a Quranist?
I'm not a Quranist. I take both the Quran and the Hadith. But every Hadith that will go against the Quran, I drop it, and I know it's an invention or a misunderstanding, or it has been wrongly related.
And where's that corruption of the Torah he mentioned with interest? Where is the corruption there?
No, he said that he's going to bring me the proof later.
The Quran. The Hadiths are not the Quran.
No, I get it. Here, look. There's many areas in Judaism that I disagree with other Jews on. Okay, but I'm not going to deny that. Wait, hold on. Hold on.
My question is,
I'm not going to deny.
With them do interest. Explain me why the Jews, between them, it is forbidden for them to make interest between Jew, and it is allowed to do interest with another one who is not Jew. What is the lesson in that between Jew you should not take interest? Explain to me.
Okay, so the average observant Jew does not read the Torah straight through. Can Jews take interest from other Jews? Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay, can you show me a verse?
No, it's part of the oral law. Like, just like you use the Hadith to interpret the Quran, we use the oral law to interpret the Torah, because we acknowledge that charging interest is not a bad thing because it incentivizes the lender to share his money. Okay, so it's clearly not a bad thing. I mean, even with the notion of the Prose Bowl, like during the Shemitah year or like during the Jubilee, there's a contract that allows people to continue lending money because it's such a great thing to be able to borrow money.
I'm sorry to cut you off, Rabbi. He has a master PhD in finance. Does he not know that interest runs the world?
Yeah, no, I'm sure he acknowledges that, but he
Wait,
says
you guys hear me?
the Quran, like he doesn't utilize that PhD anymore. You know, okay, but anyways, so Jews are allowed to not rip each other off, right?
Okay.
But Jews are allowed to charge other Jews interest. What they're not allowed to do is price gouge and give people unfair terms. But they can't do that with Gentiles either. That's the thing. The Torah doesn't say you're allowed to do this with Gentiles. It just says that with your people you shouldn't do it. Why? Because when the Torah was given, you didn't have peoples that were sensitized by offshoots of Judaism. Meaning, when Islam was created, you had Christians and you had Jews. People who are already sensitized by the values of the
Rabbi,
Torah.
where does he get his information from? Other Muslims. This is the problem, is that they are taught about other religions by their own mentors, which is the problem.
No, but
where does he know about this interest thing from other Muslims, from his imams?
Well, to be honest, he can only understand it from other Muslims because he only
Exactly.
That's fine. I mean, I'm not trying to make him feel uncomfortable. I'm trying to explain why Judaism sees the world, at least from a Torah perspective, between us and them. From a Torah perspective, because when the Torah was given, it was only us and them. If you weren't a Jew back then, if you didn't accept the Torah, you were essentially an unethical barbarian. It wasn't the case in the time of Christianity or Islam, because you had a world that was essentially sensitized by Torah values. That's a distinction. This is why a Jew, when the Torah was given, could only really trust another Jewish person, another person who submitted to God from that perspective. When there was Islam, you had the people of the book. You had people who already submitted themselves to the God of Israel. So, of course, they're not going to charge interest with Jews and Christians, people who believe in the same God from their perspective. That's a distinction. But that doesn't mean that we have, that we should charge interest to Gentiles or in any way mistreat them with money. Ribis ultimately means that what we consider interest in Judaism means essentially price gouging or deceitful acts with finance. That's what it means. Not the prohibition of lending money on interest. It's a blessing to borrow money on interest. It's a blessing. Why? Because that's the only reason why someone would want to lend money. Because otherwise people wouldn't be incentivized to lend money. Like you said, there's no obligation for you to lend money as a Muslim. You said there's no obligation for you to
There's no
lend.
incentive for people to make businesses without money.
Difference between a Muslim and a Jew. A Muslim, when his brother come to him and needs money, he don't see the interest that he have behind, but he is seeing how to fix the problem of his brother, because in Islam, it is an obligation to want for your brother the same that you want for you.
Yeah, but that's okay.
That's where the difference. You are talking about.
Yeah, but that's not Islam how it's practiced.
You are talking of making benefits. We are talking to helping our brother from Islam. Like if it was us, we are in a problem, he would help us for the only sake of Allah. So our perspective is spiritual and your perspective is worldly.
But that's your opinion. Okay.
That Quran is.
But that's your opinion, because you agreed that if you went to any Islamic country and you tried to purchase a property, they would offer you a finance plan. So you're saying they're all wrong.
The brotherhood then?
Huh?
Where's the brotherhood then?
Where's the brotherhood? What?
Where is the brotherhood then? There.
Oh, right. No, there is brotherhood. From my perspective.
It's tossed out.
Yeah, right. No, but it's still brotherhood, because the banks have an incentive to loan money. That means they could loan more money, and you actually make people more honorable when you put them in a position to pay you back. That's what they don't get.
Listen to this. I will ask you something. And all those who watch the live know better than everybody that the banks who lend money, they have ruined almost 70% of all the families who get into the bank. Especially when you go to France, it is the case. The bank ruined all the people. That's why today I'm talking to you. French people are going to Thailand, are going to.
Wait.
No, he can't make statements like that.
Yeah, that's silly. Look, in America, walk down the street. People here own their own homes. You're telling me in the vast majority of cases, you're more likely to be hurt by
anything, it's the best thing they've ever done.
Yeah, the banking system is a blessing.
It's a blessing.
It's not. Well, it is a blessing, but it's win-win.
You know, maybe the banks in the first contact, in the first terms, in the first contact, it is great. You feel that you have something, but in long terms, you're gonna go and understand that it was a trick.
No, that's a wrong way of looking at things, man. Just like when you buy a house, you pay interest, you buy it for 30 years. The value of your house is a lot more than when you bought it. It's a win-win for both parties.
Unless you're anti-capitalist. All right.
Win-win for both parties.
Yeah. Rabbi, it's actually Chris. My main got banned for a few days.
Okay, welcome.
No, I'm sorry, but I work in venture capital, and like my ears are bleeding listening to Abu, bro. So like, do you not understand how the world works? We literally operate off of a free market economy that literally involves trading back and forth with literal interest rates. So what you've told me, or at least from what I observed, is that your Quran does not account for modern day economic trends. That's the only thing. That I've deduced from this and I don't even think you got a PhD in finance, because I'm really sorry, but that all this just made my ears bleed. I just really wanted to say that right now.
He's 100% right.
Well, I mean, there are flaws in the system, like fraud.
Yeah, no, there's fraud in every system.
Oh yeah, but it's that statement where you help your brother out. That's barbaric. It's ancient.
It's still surviving.
Yeah, but you're right.
So this is why I asked you if he's a Quranist, because, like I said, Muslims finance, offer financing for sure. I mean, these guys who have the Ferraris and Abu Dhabi, they probably have tons of payments that are being made. So it's not that it's against it, but he's saying that those Muslims are in some way misrepresenting the Quran, which could be the case, but it still speaks for Islam.
Yeah, so hold on. Let me say one economic fact, Mr. PhD in finance. So did you know that the Middle East has 77% of the world's sovereign wealth funds? So what do they do with all wait. So this is going to blow your mind, right? What do they do with all of that money when they get done charging carried interest, right? Carried interest is literally what's institutionally done to take a few $1 billion and go transfer it to another asset, like to go buy oil or to go buy diamonds. So I can guarantee you a majority of these sovereign wealth funds are like probably a few million Muslims. So you're probably saying that they're all not Muslims too, right? Like I don't think you know how the world operates.
I do know.
There's
I told you
interest being charged on literally everything we do.
Okay, listen. I told you that me myself, I had a PhD in finance, in conventional finance, and I threw it down the bus because I knew that my religion, God is declaring war to whoever eat the interest in the Quran.
Well, it must be declaring war against the 77% of sovereign
Let me finish. You see, not like months ago, you see the government of Saudi Arabia make a statement that they are not representing the Muslim Ummah and they were Bedouin in the desert, and maybe it is from their country to that Makkah is in their country, so that they have assumed that, but actually they are people like everybody, and they want to assume their way of life, so they are turning back to the laws front of everybody, front of the world. So that is clear. So that's why you say, let me come. That's why you say Abu Dhabi and all those countries, they are bogus Muslim, even if they are not kuffar, but they are doing, how can I say, kaba'ir, great sins openly in front of everybody.
Okay. Yeah. Well, first of all, you'd have to acknowledge that it's great sins, perhaps against directly the Quran, but against the Quran, but they're not. It's not immoral or unethical if people want it. You know, people want to borrow money. I mean, it's not like chopping people's legs off, let's say, right?
Well, I agree with you. According to you, it's not immoral. You are free to believe whatever you want. It is your right. God have created you free because He give you the capacity to accept or to deny.
There is one case where it is immoral, but it's only when you blackmail them.
Immoral. It is totally immoral according to Islam.
No, I know, according to Islam, but not according to logic and reason. Like, people typically don't vote, you know, like for immoral things to be done to them. But people want, you know, like better rates. I mean, people want better funding, more, you know, FDIC, where they want their funding to be more secured. People want, I mean, from this perspective, to be treated immorally. It makes no sense. Immoral means that there's a practical sense of harm, right? Of like some sort of harm that's not, I don't know.
Can I ask
Or
you
damages somebody, or you hurt somebody.
Are all the Muslims in the world who have cash in deposits in banks, do they accept interest on that money? Or the banks, the Muslim banks, do not pay interest on deposits?
Yeah. Also, Abu, I kind of want to bring something to your attention because I think you're living in a utopia that literally doesn't. So you're saying that everybody's following, and it's funny that you brought up Saudi Arabia, right? Because this is literally my day job is to analyze markets. So do you realize that when they're selling oil to the U.S. that they charge interest on the petrodollar? Because it doesn't directly translate. So like you're probably saying that literally, like, I just don't understand what world you think we're in. So the same Saudi Arabia that you just mentioned, there's a ton of Muslims charging probably billions to us kuffars for oil. So like interest is everywhere, right? It's like water is wet. It's nice that your book says that, but literally the world would fall apart if people weren't doing, and like this is the same Saudi Arabia that people are mad at because the new person in charge is opening up nightclubs. They think he's terrible, opening up bars. So like I don't know, like I think Saudi Arabia is a bad example.
Thank you.
Well, I think I understand why the interest is wrong, but it's very
the world will fall apart without
ancient.
it.
Very ancient.
It's primitive, exactly. It works in primitive times.
Okay, if you finish, tell me so I can talk.
Okay, so I'm just gonna say one last thing, right? Your book is telling you guys to do this, but quite literally, I can guarantee you, most of the built-up countries of the Middle East are definitely not doing it. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing because it's keeping their economy. But to say that, for example, if they didn't charge interest on the petrodollar, they wouldn't be able to sell oil to the West. So it's nice. Okay, if you're one person that is not doing that, good for you. But modern day economics, it supports the free trade economy.
Right. Hi everyone. I want to add something as well, Abu, because I know, I have experienced it myself. This is of course not new, But countries like Iran, after revolution, when they wanted to Islamize everything, they actually started doing that. They said banks can't ask for, for rates and the stuff anymore. But obviously, very soon it turned to corruption because people with connection would want to take as much debt as they could because it's free money. If you can, if you don't pay back interest, why wouldn't you, get as much as you can? So nobody could. The economy is essentially great. It completely stopped because banks didn't have any more money to give to companies and stuff like that. What he's talking about is called Qarzul Hasaneh, which is essentially means a better debt, something like that. And it is literally a charity. It happens like it does work in small communities between people who want to help each other, but in general economy, it's always pushes everything toward corruption.
Well, to be honest, not to be honest, but to be very clear.
Very interesting to me because actually, you see, in the Prophet ﷺ has stated that the horn of the devils will come from the Najd. And actually, we can assume that the Saudi family, they are original. They came from the Najd. The families live in the Najd, and from the Najd, they conquer all the Arabia. So that's why if you're telling me that, okay, I understand your point, but actually, if you see the Arabic world, they are all using the interest and they work with it, I say, okay, you had said the truth because it is a prophecy.
I think it's like concept of virginity right now. It's outdated.
That's the issue.
All right, anyways, guys, it's late. It's late. Until next time, thank you, Abu Bakr. So we're gonna continue probably tomorrow, right?
Thanks, Rabbi.
All right, but I think it was very educational for everybody. Thank you for stopping by and being so respectful, Abu Bakr. I want people to know that on this live, we don't insult people's religions. We talk like adults, and I think people are able to see that. Okay, all right, guys. Thank you.
It was a good comment. Yeah.
All right, be well, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Take it easy. Be well.